Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Legion of the Pirate King Mugiwara no ADHD. With a larger crew come unique challenges and obstacles they must overcome together, including conflicting personalities and different wants and needs to have an enjoyable and sustainable journey. The story covers canon arcs and how they are handled given the expanded roster, but also includes a heavier emphasis on the slice-of-life moments between major arcs at sea. Adios.
This is the story of another universe where Luffy was given a slightly different message before starting his adventure as a pirate. How can one sentence change the fate of our hero and his crew? We enter the story 10 years before the start of Luffy's adventure, just before the red-haired pirates leave Luffy's hometown. Plopping the iconic straw hat on Luffy's head, Shanks says, "I'll leave this hat to you. It means more to me than anything, so you better take good care of it. You hear me? I want you to bring this hat back to me someday in good condition. But only once you've become a great pirate, with a mighty pirate crew. That's our promise, Luffy." From that moment on, Luffy internalized the message that to be the king of the pirates he would need to gather a large and powerful crew. Between his fateful meeting with Shanks and the start of his journey, Luffy allowed the thought to roll around in his head. The former Pirate King had a crew of over 30 pirates, which was a good starting place, but Luffy knew he had to dream bigger. In Roger's day, the Grand Line was still unexplored territory with little competition. Now it was teeming with powerful pirate crews all vying to be the first to claim the One Piece and seize the title of Pirate King, and his competition would be fierce. He would need at least 60 if not more to stand a chance. But the question remained, what would make his crew mighty? Certainly, quantity wasn't everything. He would need pirates that were brave, willing to stand up for what they believed in and driven by dreams that would carry them to greatness. They didn't all need to be warriors, though it wouldn't hurt. With a crew as large as he had in mind, he would need a lot of hands to keep up with the day-to-day tasks of sailing the seas. It was a difficult 10 years to wait. Each year his dreams and goals grew until one day he decided he had waited long enough and set sail from Fuchsia village to start his journey. Our journey starts just as it does in the main universe, with Luffy defeating Alvida, freeing her cabin boy Kobe and stealing a dinghy to escape. We join them as they journey toward Shell's Town in their hunt for the legendary pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro. Shell's Town is the home of Marine Branch 153, a branch of the military notorious across the East Blue for its treatment of pirates. Having seen his new friend stand up to the formidable pirate captain Alvida, Luffy gets an idea. As the two boys make their way towards the docks, he lets out his recruitment spiel for the first time in his pirating journey. "I believe in you, Kobe, and if you want to join the Marines I'm not going to stop you, but I think you should join my crew instead. Think of all the fun adventures we could have together." The invitation to piracy was not one Kobe had expected, especially after he displayed such cowardice against Alvida, allowing her to treat him as a slave. "I've wanted to be a Marine my entire life, and seeing how Alvida treats people firsthand made that seem like the only honorable option. But Luffy," the thought lingers in his mind as the dock approaches the dock, "there is something different about him. I'd have so much fun with him." "Well, Luffy," he stuttered, trying to come up with a non-committal response, "that does sound great, but pirates are the bad guys, and well, I want to be a good guy like the Marines." As their boat arrived, the pair leapt onto the dock. Luffy lets out a laugh before continuing their earlier conversation, "She. That's crazy, being a pirate doesn't make you a bad guy. Doing bad things makes you a bad guy. Besides, I could use somebody as upstanding as you in my crew to keep us honest. Now hurry up, let's get something to eat, I'm starving." And with that, the boys set off down the street until they come across a vendor selling fresh fruit. Tossing him a few coins, Luffy and Kobe each grab a pear, and Luffy takes a big bite of his before asking one of the merchants, "Hey you, is that Zoro guy around here somewhere?" At the sound of Zoro's name, the vendors and customers in the street dive for cover, knocking over barrels and making a huge mess. What's wrong with these people? The boys look around puzzled before shrugging and continuing to walk and eat. The people on the street gathered themselves and returned to their normal activities. Trying to push Kobe to decide between joining his crew or the Marines, Luffy says, "Let's head to the base and check it out. You want to be a Marine, right? That's the best place to start." "But what if they don't like me? Overwhelmed by the fear of failure, Kobe responds, "Of course I do. I mean, I think I do, but I don't think I'm ready just yet. From what I've heard, the man in charge of this base is named Captain Morgan, and, as soon as he said the name Morgan, the people on the street again dove for cover, knocking over more merchandise and creating a loud commotion." Huh, that was strange. The boys pick up their pace until they are out of earshot and Kobe says, "Everybody here is so jumpy. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this place. Luffy. I understand why they would get nervous when they hear Zoro's name. He might escape and cut them to ribbons. But why would they flip out when first mentioned the Marine captain? Something isn't adding up." As they continue walking towards the base, Luffy replies, "Who knows? Maybe they are just pulling a weird prank on us. Maybe when you finally meet Captain Morgan you can ask him yourself." "Are you really this dumb?" In frustration, Kobe shouts at his friend, "A prank? That doesn't make any sense, Luffy. I'm trying to be serious here. There's something weird happening in this town." Arriving at the gates to the Marine base, the pair forget about their discussion to marvel at it. "Woo!" Gasping in astonishment, Luffy points, "Wow, it's so big and gaudy. This looks like the place." Ready to head in and enlist Kobe? "Not really." Scared Kobe chews on his nails nervously and responds, But I haven't mentally prepared myself yet, and those people sure were scared when they heard the captain's name. I don't know if I'm ready yet." Ignoring his friend, Luffy starts climbing the wall next to the gate. "Where did he go?" Seeing Luffy at the top of the wall snaps Kobe out of it and he shouts, "Luffy, what are you doing up there?" Ignoring his friend, Luffy talks to himself as he looks over the top of the wall. "I wonder if I can see Zoro from up here." Trying to get Luffy's attention, Kobe responds, "You won't find him sitting in the courtyard. He's probably deep inside the bowels of the prison, rotting in a cell." Dropping back down to the ground, Luffy grins at Kobe and replies, "You sure about that? Because there's a weird-looking green-haired guy tied up out there. It could be him." Surprised, Kobe scrambles up the wall to see for himself, followed by Luffy. The boys peer over the edge. Luffy points at the green-haired man tied to a post in the middle of the courtyard. "There he is." Kobe freezes in fear, his teeth chattering uncontrollably. "What's that noise?" Noticing his friend's distressed state, Luffy asks, "What's wrong?" "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Sweat drips down Kobe's brow and a panicked look is painted on his face as Kobe stutters out, "A black bandana and a Haramaki sash? It's him. That's Roronoa Zoro. He's so menacing." Smiling, Luffy thinks through his options. "So that's him. I could just untie those ropes and set him free." Pressing his palms against the bricks, he attempts to scale the wall to get into the courtyard. Kobe screams out in fear, "That's suicide. If you let him loose, he'll kill us and then burn down the whole town." Luffy stops moving and drops back to his original position, rethinking his plan. Suddenly the green-haired man speaks up, "Hey kid, come over here and untie me. I've been here for 3 weeks and can barely handle the boredom." Zoro had no intention of letting the boys untie him, but this was the most entertainment he had experienced in a while, and he wasn't about to let them get away before he could have his fun. Happily, Luffy points out to Kobe, "Hey, he's smiling, he can't be that bad. Come on Kobe, let's set him free." Shaking with fear, Kobe tries to process what is happening. "Ichi's talking to us." His fear begins to give way to excitement. For years he had heard late-night horror stories of the bounty hunter Zoro by his fellow Alvida pirate crewmates. It wasn't every day he got to meet a legend in the flesh. If only I had less fear, this would be so much fun. Free entertainment. I can't pass this up. Chuckling to himself, Zoro says to the boys, heh, hee hee. I'll make it worth your while. I'll capture someone with a big price on their head and give all of the bounty to you. You can trust me. I'm a man of my word. It was clear that the pair had differing opinions about him, and the more he fanned the flames of their quarrel, the better chance he had of seeing them get into a fight. That should do the trick. A grin spreads across the swordsman's face. Fear again replacing excitement, Kobe whips his head towards Luffy, intuiting what his friend would want to do without even needing to be told. Don't do it, Luffy. As soon as you untie him, he'll kill us and run away. I just know it. Laughing, Luffy responds, She, he won't kill us, he wouldn't dare. I wouldn't let him. Before the boys could continue their conversation, a ladder slaps against the wall next to them and they both turn to look. A young girl appears with a finger pressed to her lips, hissing out, Shish. Before either boy can say or do anything, the girl launches herself over the wall and lands gracefully on the ground before walking towards the tied-up swordsman. Kobe shouts a warning after he go down there, "It's dangerous," ignoring his cries. The girl continues walking until she is standing in front of Zoro. "What do you want?" The swordsman almost spits at the girl. Fun time was over. The boys were safe up on the wall, but as soon as somebody stepped into the courtyard they were on marine grounds. He had a sinking feeling that he knew the consequences if the Marines caught her trespassing. "Oh no, this is bad." From the wall, Kobe shouts to his friend, "Luffy, do something. She'll be killed." His self-preservation was replaced by fear for the girl's safety. Annoyed, Luffy glares at Kobe. "Why don't you do it yourself? You're the one who wants to be a Marine after all. Doesn't that mean pulling kittens out of trees and saving kids from mean adults?" The pirate was growing tired of being bossed around. "If you want to take action, do it yourself. I'm sick of getting stuck with all the hard work around here." Down in the courtyard, the stern swordsman shouts at the young girl, "Get lost. Do you want to get killed?" He was starting to get desperate. The Marines were going to be there soon and he wouldn't be able to protect her from them while tied up. Reaching into her pocket and pulling out some food, the young girl holds it towards Zoro. "I made these rice balls for you. I thought you might need some food. It's the first time I've ever made rice balls. I hope you like them." At the top of his lungs, Zoro shouts at the girl, "I'm not hungry, now beat it and take that food with you." His stomach was aching. It had been weeks since the last time he had eaten, but for now, he needed to push aside his hunger and get her to leave before the Marines saw them together. Hurt but trying to put on a brave face, the young girl stammers out, but." Zoro cuts her off before she can say more. "I don't want it, now stop irritating me and get out of here. Don't make me kick your ass." It was a mean thing to say and he felt bad as soon as he said it, but Zoro rationalized that it was better in the long run for the girl's feelings to be hurt than to be put through whatever the Marines would put her through if they caught her out here. Suddenly the gates to the courtyard swung open and a well-dressed young man stepped through, flanked by a pair of Marines guards. With a condescending tone, the man says, "Roronoa Zoro. You shouldn't pick on little girls. I'll have to tell my father." The boys up on the wall shift their focus to the new arrivals. Breathing a sigh of relief, Kobe says quietly to Luffy, "Thank goodness. The Marines are here to keep her safe from that monster Zoro. I'm sure everything will be fine now that they've arrived." In a tone of disgust that is tinged with a hint of fear, Zoro says, "HMPF. Well, if it isn't the idiot man-child himself. Still leeching off daddy's money and power, I see. And look, you brought Tweedledum and Tweedledee with you. Afraid I'm going to hurt you, big guy?" Putting his hand to his ear, feigning a lack of hearing, the man says, "Did you just call me an idiot? A man in your position should guard his tongue or he could lose it." Turning his attention to the young girl, he snatches one of the rice balls out of her hands and says, "Little girl, did you bring these rice balls for me?" How thoughtful. The girl demands that the rice ball be returned, but is ignored as he takes a bite before spitting it out. "Blech. Disgusting. It's sweet. There's sugar in it. Rice balls are supposed to be seasoned with salt, not sugar. How dumb are you, kid?" In mock anger, he tosses the food onto the ground and smashes it into the dirt with his heel. On the verge of tears, the young girl cradles the remaining rice ball to her chest saying, But I like sweets, so I thought they would taste better if they were a bit sweeter." Smacking the remaining rice ball out of her hands, the man angrily stomps it into the ground while yelling at her, "These are completely inedible." The girl, dropping to her knees, tries desperately to stop his assault to no avail. Through her tears, she begs, "Stop, please. You're ruining them and now Mr. Zoro won't have anything to eat." Kobe took in the events unfolding before him with horror from his position on the wall. He could never have imagined that somebody associated with the Marines could act so cruelly, and to a child no less. Unable to control himself, he mutters under his breath, "How evil, treating an innocent child like that is despicable." Laughing maniacally, the man shouts, "Wahahaha. Don't worry, I'm sure the ants will find them delicious. Besides, you didn't read the sign outside. It says if anybody helps a criminal they will be executed. After I'm done getting rid of this nasty food we will deal with you, child." And with that, he grinds the food deeper into the dirt before grabbing the girl by the wrist and trying to pull her to her feet. A thought occurred to Luffy. This girl can cook and she's passionate about helping others. She'll be a perfect addition to the crew. Continuing to hold onto the wall with both hands and pressing his feet firmly against it, he pushed himself backward, causing his torso to stretch several meters behind him. Looking at his friend, Luffy says confidently, "You were right, Kobe, we should have done something. Let me make up for lost time." Kobe looks over at Luffy. Knowing what is coming and unable to stop it, he braces himself against the wall. Luffy screams at the top of his lungs, "Gum Gum Rocket." As his elastic body flies forward, he smashes through the wall, sending bricks flying forward as he soars through the air until he crashes into the well-dressed man. The blow forces him to release his grip on the girl, who falls onto her bottom. Kobe is barely able to hang on as the wall shakes from the impact, but once the shaking has stopped, he jumps through the newly created hole into the courtyard and rushes over to Luffy. As the man who had just been body slammed slowly sits up, trying to figure out what happened, the enraged Luffy screams at him, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" The two marine bodyguards draw their weapons and spin to face the intruders, ready to defend their boss. Sighing to himself, the swordsman shouts to the man Luffy attacked, "I swear I had nothing to do with this. Is our deal still on Helmeppo?" The whole reason he had agreed in the first place to be taken prisoner was a deal he had brokered with the man, wherein if he survived a month tied up out here, the Marines would not execute any of his friends in town, including the young girl who had brought him food today. Still dazed, the man stumbles to his feet and brushes his clothes off before shouting at Zoro, "You idiot, that deal was never going to happen. But now I have an excuse to kill you and all of your friends back in that wretched restaurant we found you in." Anger burns in his heart as Zoro shouts at the man, "The hell did you just say to me? What do you mean it was never going to happen?" Turning to Luffy and Kobe, he shouts, "Quick, one of you needs to untie me so I can teach this jerk a lesson." Kobe rushes over to the swordsman and undoes his bindings before quickly retreating in fear as Zoro stands up and massages his wrists. Looking around, Zoro comments to himself, "Now where the hell did you put my swords?" The two marine guards charge at the group but are easily stopped by Luffy, who yells, "Gum Gum Pistol," stretching his right arm back 10 meters and then sending his fist flying at the pair, knocking them into the dirt on either side of Helmeppo. As they pick themselves out of the dirt, one of the Marines asks the blonde-haired man, "Should one of us go to get your father?" But before the words had even left his mouth, Helmeppo took off running for the gate. His bravado shattered upon seeing his guards so easily overpowered by the rubber boy and unwilling to face whatever attack the pirate. Turning to the second Marine, the first shrugs, "I guess that means we are stuck here with them, huh?" The second Marine grits his teeth and responds, "I guess so." Turning to face the group of pirates, the Marines prepare for battle until they notice that everyone has stopped paying attention to them. Taking this as a sign that they should leave, the Marines take off after Helmeppo, leaving the group alone in the courtyard. As soon as Helmeppo ran off, the group started talking amongst themselves. Luffy begins with an introduction, "I'm Monkey D. Luffy and I'm going to be the king of the pirates. Not only that, but both of you will be joining our crew." Grabbing Kobe by the shoulders, Luffy beams at Zoro and the young girl. "Of course, he just assumes I'm going along with this nonsense." Kobe protests weakly, "Luffy, I haven't agreed to be in your crew yet." His words sounded hollow to his ears. He's probably right, but he should at least wait for me to say so. Ignoring his protest, Luffy says to their new companions, "I know you are Raranora Zoro, but we can't just call you little pirate girl, so what's your name?" Placing his hands on his knees, Luffy lowers himself to the girl's level, trying to appear less intimidating to her. Still wiping away the tears streaming down her cheeks from Helmeppo's cruel words and actions, the young girl squeaks out, "My name's Rika. But I'm not a pirate, I'm just a waitress at my mom's restaurant." Laughing, Luffy helps the girl to her feet. She's, "Well, of course, nobody is born a pirate, Rika. But once you join my crew, that is what you'll be." The explanation weirdly made sense and she smiled back happily at Luffy. The swordsman could hardly believe the nerve of the young boy in front of him. He's not asking me, he's demanding that I join his crew and doing the same for a literal child. He's either crazy or delusional. Clearing his throat to get the exuberant boy's attention, Zoro barks, "And who says we even want to join your crew? Everyone calls me a pirate hunter after all. That means it's my job to stop pirates, not join them. Why wouldn't they want to join us?" Putting his hand on his chin and striking his best thinking pose, Luffy says, "Well, I could always have my Kobe tie you back up if you would prefer to stay here with the Marines." Zoro glared at Kobe, "Don't even think about it, kid." Kobe gulps, trembling with fear as the green-haired warrior's eyes bore a hole into his skull. Angrily the swordsman shouts back, "Is that a threat?" He takes a moment to calm down before continuing, "Look, never mind all of that. We can figure out this pirate crew thing later. Right now I need my swords. They're probably somewhere in that base." He points with his thumb at the large building behind him. "Let's hurry before that blonde jerk returns with his dad." Why would his dad get involved? Curious, Kobe asks, who is his dad anyway? A thought flashed through Kobe's mind. Maybe Helmeppo's father is somebody rich from town, or a pirate with a lot of influence. It's not great for the Marines to tolerate this behavior, but it's better than him being related to a Marine who should have taught him right from wrong. Hope flashed through the boy. Maybe the doubts plaguing his conscience about the integrity of the Marines were wrong and they were the honorable heroes he had always imagined them to be. He doesn't have a clue, does he? His lips twisting into a grin. Zoro laughs maniacally. "Da ha 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 ha." His father is Axehand Morgan, the Marine responsible for capturing the notorious Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates and captain of the 153rd Branch Marines whose base we are currently standing in. Oh no, just as soon as the hope had bubbled up he was brought crashing back down to reality. He's not just related to some random Marine, but a captain. Not only that, but the Captain Morgan the villagers were afraid of is none other than the notorious Axehand Morgan. It's no wonder they freaked out when we said his name. "He's a brute." Shocked and terrified Kobe shouts, "What? We just beat up the son of Axehand Morgan. He's going to kill us all. We have to get out of here." As his panic ramps into overdrive, Kobe desperately tries to figure out how they can escape with their lives. Screw Zoro's swords. We need to get out of here now. "Excuse me." A look of frustration flashes across Luffy's face and he folds his arms across his chest. "Hey Kobe. What's this wee business? I'm the one who kicked his ass. All you did was bark orders and try to hide. Get a hold of yourself." Grabbing Kobe by the shoulder and forcing the boy to look into his eyes, Zoro says coldly, "We aren't going anywhere without my swords." He grins again. "Once I have them there isn't a soul on this base that can stand up against us. After all, I'm on my way to being the world's strongest swordsman." An evil gleam enters his eyes. "These Marines wouldn't stand a chance against me in a fair fight. These people are crazy." In a panic Rika spins to face Kobe. "I'm scared." She reaches her arms toward the boy. "At least this one has a little sense. World's strongest swordsman? Who cares about that when they have guns?" Kobe's eyes flick back and forth between Zoro and Luffy as he tries to determine who is more reasonable. Realization dawns on him that neither will be of any help and that his best shot is to give in to the chaos. Glancing down at the young girl beside him, he sees her outstretched arms and his fear reflected on her face. With a reassuring smile, he says as calmly as he can manage, "Don't worry Rika. I'm sure it'll be fine. Luffy's never let me down before." Reaching down he scoops the young girl into his arms. She instinctively wraps her arms around his neck and buries her head into his chest. "So that's it? One day with Luffy and now I'm lying to a child?" Finally, relaxing his shoulders and regaining his trademark grin, Luffy bounces back and forth, warming his limbs. "Wow. The world's strongest swordsman on my crew." Zoro rolls his eyes, unnoticed by the young pirate. "That settles it. We'll get Zoro's swords, beat up axe hands and any other Marine stupid enough to get in our way." Wrapping his arms several times around his companions, Luffy locks his fingers behind their backs and begins dashing toward the Marine base. "What the hell?" shouts Zoro as he stares in amazement at the boy's arms stretching away from his body. "What is this kid made of?" Grinning back over his shoulder Luffy shouts, "Better start moving or this is going to hurt." Suddenly Luffy's companions feel their bodies getting dragged forward at an alarming rate as the boy screams, "Gum Gum Rocket." Kobe and Zoro dig their heels into the dirt, attempting to resist before they are lifted into the air and hurled alongside Luffy into the base's massive doorways, colliding with a loud bang. Crashing to the ground inside the base, they pick themselves up off the floor, trying to recover from the sudden and violent movement. His face red, Zoro yells at Luffy, "What if those doors were made of steel or were barred shut? You could have killed us all just now, you lunatic." Kobe and Rika stand huddled together, shaking in fear. Unable to find the words to express themselves, they let Zoro handle the yelling. Grabbing the back of his head and laughing, Luffy responds, She, I did warn you. Besides, this was the fastest way to get in here. Don't you want to get those swords of yours? He can't be serious. His mouth hangs open in disbelief. It takes Zoro a few moments to regain his faculties and respond to the insanity of Luffy's statement. What use would I have for my swords if you turned me into a pancake? You have to think before you do stuff like this, Luffy. Luffy walks off down the hallway. This time he allows the others to follow at their own pace as he responds. Where's the fun in overthinking everything? Now let's find your swords and beat up axe hands. Half an hour later, the group finally stumble upon the armory guarded by a single nervous-looking marine. Zoro and Luffy crack their knuckles and grin menacingly as they approach. Teeth chattering, the marine attempts to reason with them. Look, I saw what you guys did outside and I'm a big fan. Helmeppo's had this coming for a while. It was great to see him put in his place for once. The pair continue to advance on him and a bead of sweat runs down his brow. Since I'm such a great guy, the first took it upon myself to grab your swords from Helmeppo's room and brought them here to make things easier for you. He motions to the 3 blades sitting beside him as his eyes dart back and forth between the pair who continue their advance. Let's make a deal. I'll pretend I didn't see you all break into this armory and nobody has to beat me up. What do you say? Can we make that happen? What a coward, show some self-respect. Zoro shakes his head back and forth slowly as he closes in on the marine. You know it has to be this way. We can't risk you blowing our cover and alerting the base that we're here. He thumps the marine on the top of the head with his fist and the man crumples to the ground in a heap. Well, that was easy. As the group enters the armory, Zoro straps his swords to his waist while Kobe and Rika look around for anything they can use as a weapon. Luffy bounces around the room, pointing out the interesting weapons and armor with loud oohs and ahs. After thoroughly searching the armor, Kobe finds a large wooden club similar to the one Alvida used but small enough for him to carry. Around the same time, Rika finds a frying pan and a rolling pin, figuring that even if she doesn't get the opportunity to use them as weapons, they could still find use in the ship's kitchen. As the group exits the armory, they notice that the guard Zoro knocked out is nowhere to be seen and they hear the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching. Damn that cockroach, I should have finished him when I had the chance. Rolling his eyes, Zoro mutters, we were right not to trust him. A squad of 10 Marines rounds the corner, swords drawn and ready to fight. Stepping between the Marines and his companions, Zoro says coldly, stand back, I've got this. With both thumbs, he gently presses against the crossguard of his blades and smoothly draws them from their sheaths. Placing the hilt of the snow-white sword Wado Ichimonji in his mouth, he unsheathes the other 2 blades and brings them in front of his body. As he faces down his opponent, the swordsman says around his sword hilt, 3 sword style, ogre cutter. Suddenly the swordsman dashes towards the Marines, slashing both of his blades across his body. For a moment as he slides to a stop on one knee behind the Marines, it appears as if nothing happened before suddenly the entire squad is thrown through the air and slammed into the wall behind them, falling into an unconscious heap. Zoro sheaths his blades and turns to his companions, come on. We need to hurry before more of them show up. Mouths agape. The group takes a moment to register what they had just seen before Luffy shouts, that was amazing. I can't believe somebody as strong as you is in my crew. As the 4 run towards the exit of the Marine base, Zoro rolls his eyes and angrily shouts back, I told you I'm not a pirate and I haven't agreed to join your crew. He finishes the thought in his head, yet, he may not be ready to admit it, but his decision had been made as soon as he was released from the gallows. Throwing the doors to the Marine base open, the group is met by a platoon of 50 Marines, swords drawn in the courtyard. At the center of the group stands axe-hand Morgan and beside him his son Helmeppo. Pointing at Luffy, Helmeppo says, that's him, father, that's the punk that attacked me and freed Zoro, get him. Glaring at his son, Morgan snarls at him, nobody tells me what to do, least of all a snot-nosed brat like you. You couldn't even stop 3 kids from releasing that damn swordsman. He walks toward the group as they emerge from the base. Stay out of my way. I'll deal with you once I'm done cleaning up this mess. He picks up his pace and begins charging at Luffy and the others, followed closely by his soldiers. This is more like it, cracking his knuckles and swinging his right arm back. Luffy yells, Gum Gum Pistol, before sending his fist flying forward, knocking over 5 of the charging Marines. His companions jump out of the way, barely dodging the fist as it sails past them and into the Marines. Zoro shouts, "Watch where you swing that thing, you almost took us all out." Closing his eyes, Luffy's body shakes as nearly doubles over with laughter. She. Next time I'll try to give you more warning. Eyes snapping open. He twists his body, pulling back his arm. The rubbery limb whips through the air, knocking over another 3 Marines on its return trip. Shaking off the shock from almost getting hit by Luffy, "That was a close one." Kobe gathers himself and lets out a battle cry while raising his club over his head. "Take this, you jerks. We'll teach you not to mess with us." Charging at the oncoming Marines, Kobe lands a heavy blow, knocking down 2 Marines who had almost reached the group. Holding the club in his hands had given him a sudden boost of confidence. "Oh no, don't leave me alone out here." Rika looks at Zoro, fear in her eyes as she holds tightly to her frying pan and rolling pin. "What are we going to do, Mr. Zoro? There's way too many of them." Without returning her gaze, Zoro unsheathes his swords, placing Wado Ichimonji back into his mouth and taking hold of a sword in each hand. "There's no use in trying to run or hide. If we are going to survive, then we need to go through these Marines." Having said his piece, he starts running forward. Slashing each Marine he passes, carving a path of destruction through Morgan's foot soldiers. A dozen Marines drop to their knees in his wake before keeling over into the dirt. She. Don't forget me." Laughing, Luffy charges the oncoming Marines. "I've just started my adventure and already have the strongest crew in the East Blue. I'll be the king of the pirates in no time." Making a beeline for Morgan, Luffy deftly dodges the other Marines running past him in the opposite direction. "Oh no, everybody left. It's just me." Rika shrieks in fear and cowers as 3 Marines surround her and raise their swords in the air. She lets out an ear-splitting scream before begging, "Eek, don't hurt me, I'm just a little girl. I promise I'll be good. Just leave me alone." Suddenly the soldiers freeze in place, exchanging glances between them before one by one they clutch their chests and drop to the ground. "Huh?" Confused, the girl saint, "What happened? Why didn't any of you try to attack me?" One of the soldiers, while continuing to feign unconsciousness, says just loud enough for Rika to hear him, "Get out of here before you get hurt. This battlefield isn't a place for a kid your age." Rika nods. "They're trying to protect me." Elsewhere on the battlefield, Kobe is cornered by 3 Marines who slowly back him towards the perimeter wall. The biggest of the 3 approaches the shaking boy and grabs his club, trying to pull it from his hands. "Look what we got here, boys. If it isn't some fresh meat." He smears as the other 2 laugh. "What do you say we tenderize him before handing him over to the boss?" These 3 Marines were some of Morgan's most loyal, always looking for ways to one-up each other to get the approval of their sadistic captain. Generally distrusted by the other Marines on the base, they had a lot of pent-up anger and were excited for this opportunity to act on some of their more depraved instincts. The other 2 Marines close in on either side, pressing Kobe's small body against the wall. Suddenly they start punching him, first in the stomach then the face. Kobe falls to his knees before landing face first in the dirt, his glasses flying from his face and landing several feet away. "Not here. Not like this." Tears streaming down his face, Kobe chokes out, "You're a disgrace to the Marines. I can't believe I ever wanted to be one of you." Before he can say anything else, one of the Marines kicks him across the face, knocking him unconscious. The leader lifts his boot to land the finishing blow when a pair of swords pierce his stomach. Looking down, he grabs at the blades in shock, not fully comprehending what had happened. Withdrawing his swords from the brute, Zoro allows the Marine to drop to his knees before he slumps face first into the ground. Quickly Zoro turns on the other 2 Marines and with the side of his sword smacks them across the head with a single strike, sending their bodies crumpling to the ground. Spitting on the leader's body, his disgust at the men flows from his mouth. "That'll teach you not to mess with my friends." Kobe slowly comes to, his head swimming, and he tries to sit up. "I'm alive?" Seeing the blurry silhouette of Zoro standing over him, Kobe looks in awe at the swordsman who had left him trembling in fear less than an hour earlier. Crawling across the dirt to his glasses, he scoops them up and returns them to their rightful position on his nose. Vision restored, he pushes himself to his feet and dusts his clothes off before thanking the swordsman. "I would have been done for if you hadn't shown up when you did. What can I ever do to repay you?" Zoro turns away from the boy, scanning the battlefield to see where he is needed. "Consider us even. If you hadn't untied me earlier, I'd be dead instead of standing here with you. Besides, You and I both know that straw hat wearing idiot would have killed me if I let you die on my watch. Now pick up your club and help me kick these guys' asses so we can get out of here." Not bothering to wait for a response, he runs towards Luffy, who was engaged in combat with axe hand Morgan. Kobe picks up his club before surveying the battle scene. He does a quick head count of the bodies lying on the ground to help him estimate how many Marines remain in the courtyard. Luffy had taken out 8 and Zoro another 15. Rika had seemingly defeated another 3 and he had taken 2 himself before being cornered, which made a grand total of 28 Marines defeated. Excluding Helmeppo and his father, he estimated at least 22 Marines that still needed to be dealt with. That seems like a reasonable amount. But with Luffy and Zoro preoccupied, I'm going to need to pick up the slack. Gritting his teeth, Kobe cracked his neck while he looked for the place he could do the most good. Seeing a group of 4 Marines advancing on Rika, he rushes towards them. His club held above his head, he attempts to run as nimbly as possible to take the group by surprise but cannot stop himself from shouting, "Gotcha!" when his club came crashing down on the back of the head of the first Marine. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Luffy laughs as he launches punch after punch at Axe Hand Morgan. Each blow is deflected or blocked by the Marine titular Axe Hand. More. His fight with Alvida earlier that day was a great warm-up, but Morgan posed an actual challenge and he was thoroughly enjoying his fight against the angry Marine. Landing a strong punch against Morgan's axe hand, the metal vibrates, making a loud gong sound that can be heard across the battlefield. Luffy roars with laughter. That was awesome. I want to do it again. I'll hit it even harder this time." Not amused by the boy's antics, the Marine began out of steam as each punch took a toll on his body. Yelling in rage, Morgan raises his axe to slash at the pirate before another fist strikes the side of his blade, making an even louder noise. "Damn it! Just hold still so I can slice you up." Suddenly from behind Luffy came the sound of a pistol being fired into the air, followed by a wheezing laugh from Helmeppo. Wahahaha. Luffy spins toward the sound only to watch in horror as Helmeppo holds Rika in his right arm hand as he slowly lowers the pistol from the air and aims it at her head. From his crouching position, Helmeppo shouts, "The next one is going through her head if you don't give up, pirate." "Don't give up." Feeling a wave of bravery course through her body, Rika shouts, "Don't let anything that happens to me stop you. Even if I die." Her eyes grow wide. "Why did I say that? I don't want to die." With a wide grin, Luffy advances on Helmeppo, pulling his fist back. "Of course. You got it, Rika. You hear that, you big idiot? She's not afraid to die by your hand. Now take this, gum." While his back was turned to Morgan, the officer took the opportunity to attack the distracted pirate, raising his axe over his head and swinging it down towards Luffy, intending to chop him in half. As the blade is about to pierce through the top of Luffy's straw hat, Morgan stops dead in his tracks. With his attention focused on the blonde-haired man, Luffy screams, "Pistol!" and sends his fist flying forward, knocking Helmeppo backward and jettisoning the pistol from his hands. At the same moment, Morgan yells out in pain as Zoro lands next to him, having slashed through the Marine's armor. Morgan collapses to the ground, wounds opening up across his chest in an X shape. Pulling his arm back, Luffy turns and sees Zoro standing beside a defeated Morgan. "Nice one, Zoro. You don't even know how lucky you are that I was here." Grinning around the sword in his mouth, Zoro replies, "I'm just doing my job, Captain." Luffy's eyes widen and he throws his fists into the air. "I knew you'd agree to join my crew eventually." After jumping up and down several times, he finally settles down and surveys the scene around him. Most of the Marines still standing looked like they were trying not to draw attention to themselves as they kept their distance from Luffy and his friends. A small group of Marines were running in fear, chased by an angry Kobe who occasionally swung at them with his club. Luffy challenges the remaining Marines, "If any of you are brave, come over here and take us on." One of the more junior Marines standing near the gate responds loudly, "Do we have to? You already beat up our boss. Can we just go? None of us wanted to be here in the first place." A senior officer jabs him in the stomach and glares, "What? I'm just telling the truth. Morgan is a monster and none of us would have been out here doing any of this if we weren't terrified of what he'd do to us for disobeying." A couple of the other Marines nod in agreement. Ignoring the commotion, Kobe continues to chase the three to get in a good hit, sending all 3 spiraling into the dirt. I need to get into better shape. That was exhausting. Trying to catch his breath, Kobe stands over the three Marines. Let that be a lesson to the three of you not to pick on little girls. Looking up from the men, Kobe takes in the scene around him. Trying to figure out his next move, Kobe yells, "Luffy, what do we do now? I don't think these guys want to keep fighting with us." Luffy explodes with laughter. She. I think you're right, Kobe. Get out of here, Marines. We won and you lost. Putting his hands on either side of his face, Luffy stretches his cheeks out comically far while sticking out his tongue and spitting. As the Marines hurry out of the courtyard, they start cheering, with several shouting, "We're finally free." Luffy and the crew wait for the final Marines to exit before celebrating their victory. Gathering together, Luffy lifts his fists in celebration. "We did it! We won our first battle as an official pirate crew." Hiding his grin, Kobe responds to Luffy, "I never technically joined your crew, you know. What if I decide I still want to be a Marine? Although, if Morgan is what the Marines are like, I'd probably be better off as a pirate." Pretending to think hard about the decision, Kobe places his thumb and index finger on either side of his chin, imitating the pose Luffy had taken earlier that day. "Fine, I'll stay with you as a pirate for now, but I'm keeping my eye on you, Luffy. If I start to think you are one of the bad ones, I won't hesitate to turn you over to the government." Laughing, Luffy hugged his new crewmate. She. I knew you'd come around, Kobe. Welcome to the crew." Turning to Rika, Luffy smiles and sticks his hand out. "What about you, Rika? Will you join my crew?" Biting her lip, the young girl looks up at the pirate, a questioning look on her face. "I don't know if I can, Luffy. I'm just a kid. What could I bring to a cool pirate crew like yours?" Grinning from ear to ear and bouncing back and forth with excited energy while continuing to hold his hand out, Luffy responds, "Why, you would be our cook, of course. We need somebody who can make us food if we are going to survive long enough to make it to the Grand Line. Besides, we never got to try those delicious rice balls you made for Zoro before that blonde-haired creep smashed them." Luffy knew in his heart it was unlikely she would stay their cook for long, but he also knew they would figure out something exciting for her to do once they brought on a more seasoned chef. Smiling, the girl smacks the outstretched hand away and jumps into Luffy's arms, giving him a big hug. "Then of course I'll join your crew, Luffy. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to go on big adventures with you all." Hugging the girl back, Luffy lifts her over his head and spins her in a circle as he proclaims, "Then that settles it. Together we'll sail the Grand Line and find the One Piece so I can be the king of the pirates." A serious expression crosses Zoro's face and he asks his new captain, "So how many pirates have you recruited so far, Luffy? If you're this confident, you must have an impressive crew out there." "Oh no," Kobe smacks his head, knowing the answer as Luffy starts pointing at each individual in front of him, counting out loud. 1, 2, 3, plus me. That makes 4, pretty great start, huh?" "Seriously?" Zoro yells, "We are the only pirates you have recruited? How do you expect to take on the Grand Line with such a small crew? I knew it, you are a lunatic." Laughing, Luffy slaps the swordsman on the back. She. "Don't worry about it, Zoro. We will have a huge crew in no time. Besides, the four of us just took out a marine base ourselves. We've got Kobe's brains, your swords, my rubber and Rika's food. We're unstoppable." Zoro could only shake his head in disbelief. It was becoming obvious that Luffy had no idea how the world works, but he had a strange magnetism that would surely attract others to his cause. Changing the subject, Luffy says, "Let's worry about all that later. We just beat up a base full of Marines, let's party." As the crew laughs and cheers, they suddenly hear a growling sound from Zoro. Grabbing his stomach, the swordsman grimaces. "Hey, is there any way we can move the party somewhere with food? I've been out here for 9 days and haven't eaten a thing. I'm starving." At this point, I'd be willing to dig the rice balls out of the dirt if it meant getting something in my stomach. Piping up, Rika suggests, "You don't need to eat food off the ground like that, Mr. Zoro. We can just go to my house, my mom and I will cook something delicious before our adventure." The crew agrees and quickly makes their way to Rika's home, and true to her word, Rika and her mom prepare a large meal for the crew, who are eager to fill up before their voyage. While serving the food to her crew, Rika informs her mother of her plan to join Luffy's crew. In shock, the woman yells, "You're what? No daughter of mine will go off and be a pirate." Luffy tries to calm the enraged mother down. "Relax, with me and Zoro looking out for her, there's nothing to worry about. Besides, if she gets homesick we can always bring her back." What's the worst that can happen? Snatching the plate of food from in front of Luffy, Rika's mom shoots him a nasty look. If anything happens to my daughter, I am holding you responsible, young man. Do you hear me? Sighing, she turns to Rika and says, look, I know I won't be able to stop you. Heaven knows if I could control you, you'd never have been in that courtyard to meet these hooligans in the first place. Just promise to stay safe and listen to everything Zoro says, okay? What? Choking on his bite of food, Zoro takes a moment to clear his throat. Why me? Luffy's the captain. Smiling sweetly at Zoro, Rika's mother explains, well, you may not remember Mr. Tough Swordsman guy, but I was there when Helmeppo's nasty dogs attacked my sweet Rika, and I saw how you protected her from them and continued to protect her as he threatened to have all of us executed. Without your bravery and kindness, I'd have lost her that day. For that matter, I wouldn't be here either. If anybody can keep Rika safe, it's you. Laughing, Luffy grabs his plate back from Rika's mom. She. You big softy, I thought they imprisoned you for doing something cool like stealing the government flag or getting into a bar fight. How lame is it to get locked up for protecting a helpless little girl? He immediately starts shoveling food back into his mouth, trying to fill the seemingly bottomless pit that is his stomach. Rika's mom glances at the ever-growing pile of plates stacking up next to the pirate in horror, wondering if he intended to eat her out of house and home. Scowling, Zoro is about to tell off his captain before Rika pipes up. You big meanie. I may be little, but I'm not helpless. She sticks her tongue out at Luffy. Luffy says through a mouthful of food, oh, not helpless. I forget. How many Marines did you beat up back there, Rika? The girl's cheeks turn bright red. Before she has a chance to defend herself, there is a loud knock at the door. Standing up from the table, Rika's mom walks over to the door. I wonder who that could be? More friends of yours? Opening the door, the crew is shocked to see a platoon of Marines, led by a young man sporting a light green ascot in contrast to the standard blue ascots worn by the others, indicating his rank as their superior. The Marine introduces himself. I'm Ripper of the 153rd Marine Branch, and I had a couple of questions. He pauses and peers around the woman before continuing. Do you mind if I come in? The crew tense and grab their weapons, ready for a fight. Nonplussed, Luffy shouts, Fro, you can come in, but leave the rest of your Marines outside. There isn't enough room in here for all of you. The Marine motions for his soldiers to give him space and steps into the house. Rika's mom closes the door behind him to provide some privacy. Looking at Luffy, the Marine pauses, trying to figure out how to ask the questions he knows he can't avoid. Are you civilians, Marines, or pirates? He knew, but it was protocol to ask. With a big grin, Luffy stands up and puffs his chest out. Pirates, of course. But not just any pirates. I'm going to be king of the pirates. Closing his eyes and sighing, the Marine pauses before opening them again and continuing. Well, pirates, let me extend our thanks for stopping Morgan. He has been terrorizing this base ever since he was put in charge. Thanks to you, we have him in custody, and an admiral will be dispatched soon for his court-martialing. He pauses to collect his thoughts. That being said, you cannot stay here. I can promise that none of my Marines will report your actions to Marine headquarters, but we can't have you sticking around after beating up our division captain, especially when the admiral shows up. Luffy grins at the Marine. Sure thing, Rapper. We were planning on leaving anyways as soon as we finished eating. Looking over at Rika's mom, Luffy shoots her a cheeky grin. Thanks for the food, by the way. It was wonderful. The crew members stand up one by one, having finished their meals, and flank Luffy. So, is there anything else? Or are we free to go? Asks the young pirate captain. The Marine tries not to smile as he responds to the impulsive boy, that is all. And it's Ripper, not Rapper. As Ripper and the pirate crew walk toward the door, Luffy replies, Sure thing, Reaper. The next time you see me, I'll be the king of the pirates, so you better get used to this face. Giving his cheesiest smile, Luffy opens the door, leading the group outside to the darkening streets as the sun begins to set. Grimacing, Ripper begins to correct the captain before cutting himself short. It's not Reaper, it's never mind. It was interesting meeting you, Luffy. Turning to his men, the Marine calls them to attention before the platoon heads off toward the naval base, leaving the pirates to say goodbye to their host. The crew thanks Rika's mother for feeding them, and Rika gives her mom an extra long goodbye hug, promising to return someday and tell her about all her adventures as a pirate. Having said their goodbyes, the crew make their way to the boat on the dock. Upon reaching the ship they notice a treasure chest that hadn't previously been there. Curious Luffy opens it up before jumping for joy as he sees that it is filled with coins and paper bills totaling 500,000 belly. A pair of marines spying on the crew from a nearby shop smile. Seeing the joy on the young captain's face at the newly discovered treasure they had carefully snuck on board. Luffy breathes deeply as he takes a moment to calm down. Once ready he assists the others in loading their recently acquired weapons along with a few basic supplies, given to them by Rika's mother for the journey ahead. As they cast off from the dock, Luffy and the crew turn to wave farewell to Rika's mother and are surprised to see the entirety of the 153rd branch, including those who had previously fought with the Straw Hats lighting the harbor. At the front of the Marines stands Ripper who shouts, "Marines salute." In unison the Marines raise their hands to their heads, saluting the crew from the shore. They hold the salute as the boat slowly shrinks from their view until it is nothing more than a speck on the horizon. Once the pirates are safely out of sight, Ripper announces to his fellow Marines, "At ease." The Marines drop their salute and wait for further instructions. "By allowing those pirates to escape we have violated the Marine Code of Conduct. If anybody here disagrees with the decision to let them go, feel free to speak up now." The Marines remain silent and Ripper smiles. After a long pause he continues, "As punishment for this violation, we will all go without food for a week. Do I make myself clear?" In unison, the Marines respond, "Sir, yes, sir," and with that, they disperse back to their lives without fear, thanks to Luffy and his crew, of future abuse by the now incarcerated Axe-Hand Morgan. While the crew is preparing for sleep that night, Rika approaches Zoro. "I want to learn to fight like you. With swords." She pauses as she puts on her biggest puppy dog eyes. "Can you teach me?" Zoro pauses as he thinks about the work involved in mastering a sword. This is not a small choice, kiddo. Making up his mind, he answers affirmatively, "Yes, I will teach you, but it won't be easy. I didn't learn everything I knew by slacking off. It'll take early morning practice, late night studying and lots of sparring in between to turn you into a halfway decent fighter. Do you think you can handle that?" He assumed she wouldn't have asked if she planned on saying no, but needed to check. The girl's face lights up as she clasps her hands and bows before Zoro. "Of course I can handle it. Thank you, sensei. I can't wait to get started." Doing a little spin, the girl collapses backward and stretches across the wooden boards. Staring at the stars in the sky, she imagines her training and all the adventures she is about to go on. As Rika drifts off to sleep, Zoro smiles to himself. "She'll make a fine swordsman, someday. Isn't that right, Kuina?" Stretching out beside the girl he quickly drifts off to sleep, lulled by the rocking of the small boat. As the night wears on, the entire crew sleeps peacefully, having forgotten to assign somebody to keep watch. A single red clown nose drifts past the boat, unnoticed by the sleeping pirates as they float towards Organ Island. A dinghy floats aimlessly through the ocean. Aboard sits a red-headed girl named Nami who appears to be quite unwell. Her arm was slumped over the side of the boat and her head hung over the side as if preparing to at any moment unload her stomach into the salty ocean water. Her journey to this point was very similar to our crew. Having stolen a boat from the Alvida pirates, she had made her way to Shell's town, where she purchased a few basic supplies. While staying in town she took advantage of the chaos Luffy and his crew caused to steal 100,000 belly in paper bills from the marine base before making her way out to sea ahead of the pirates. Glancing up occasionally from her position, she tracked the approach of a sailboat currently manned by 3 pirates wearing ridiculous outfits ill-suited for the sea. Having hidden her stolen treasure in a pouch on her waist, she had set up a gaudy-looking chest in the middle of her boat and filled it with a stuffed panda-shaped jack-in-the-box. When the pirate boat finally made contact with hers, the first pirate called to his companions, "Huh, it's a lady." The other 2 pirates chuckled to themselves while staring down at what they believed to be her sleeping form. Attempting to rouse her from her slumber, the second pirate shouted, "Hey, wake up, little girl." The noise causes her to lift her head and feign waking from a sickness-induced nap. "It's time for the show," beads of sweat dripping down her face. Nami responds, "Please tell me I'm not dreaming this time. Finding help in the middle of nowhere. If you're real, then please can you give me some water? I'm so thirsty. I'll give you as much jewelry and valuables as you'd like for just one drink." She waves her hand at the fake treasure chest. "I'll let your greed do the hard work for me." The pirates grin, They already had a chest filled with 200,000 belly they had stolen from a cruise ship earlier that day, but the boss would be happy if they brought back even more treasure. The second pirate calls out to Nami, "No sweat, we'll help you. But first, we need to see what kind of treasure you got. I have to make sure we aren't taking advantage of you, wahahahaha." The pirates laugh, having no real intention of helping the girl. The three men step over Nami and onto the boat, making a beeline for the treasure chest. The third pirate continued where his companion had left off. "Don't mind us, we'll just be a minute." Sitting down in front of the chest, the trio attempt to open it. The second pirate pulls out his tools and makes a clumsy attempt at jimmying the lock before exclaiming in frustration, "I can't get this damn thing open." He gives up on lockpicking and jams his sword into the chest that groans under the pressure. "Hold on, I think I got it." With a strong twist of his blade, the lid is flung off, sending the jack-in-the-box flying into the air above him. The three pirates yell in fear and fall backward as they hear laughter behind them. Foo 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 foo. Standing on the pirate boat, which has begun to drift quickly away, Nami gives the men a wry smile. "If you want, you can keep the whole thing. Treasure like that just isn't my style." The three pirates leap to their feet and rush to the side of the dinghy. The second pirate shouts, "Hey, that's our boat. You tricked us." The third follows him up. Nami places her hand over her eyes to block the sun and stares off to the side. "From the look of those clouds moving in from the south, I'd say a cold front is coming. So you can probably expect strong winds and squalls any time now." As soon as she says this, a dark black cloud moves into place over the three pirates with menacing cracks of thunder and the occasional bright light of a lightning bolt ripping through it. Also, in that small boat, you run a bit of a chance of capsizing. As if on cue, the clouds open up and water comes pouring down. The three pirates in a panic begin to run around the ship, causing it to tip back and forth until the nose goes under the water and the entire boat quickly sinks under the waves. Lifting her thumb into the air, Nami shouts, "Bingo, I know I'm good, but I didn't realize I was this good. These idiots must have horrible luck." As the pirates' heads bob above the water, she continues, "See y'all, I'll go ahead and take whatever treasure you guys have here. I don't think you'll need it." The second pirate shouts back, "Get back here, you bitch. We'll get you for this." Before he can finish, he is pulled under by one of his companions and his words are replaced by the sound of bubbles. Meanwhile, in Luffy's dinghy, the four crewmates attempt to pass the time before they reach the next island. Luffy hangs over the edge of the water, his fingertips brushing against the tops of the waves as they pass. He lets out an irritated moan, "I'm so hungry. Rika, have you finished with breakfast yet?" "Ah." Rika frantically darts about the hull, tossing ingredients into her frying pan. "Pipe down, I'm doing the best I can." In frustration, she shouts at the captain, "Be patient, Luffy. It's hard to cook when you don't have a kitchen. We wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't eaten through all the pre-cooked food my mom gave us last night while you were sleepwalking." She still thinks I was sleepwalking." Luffy grins, showing off his teeth. "Oh yeah, I forgot. Well, it's your mom's fault for making food that smelled so good. I can't be held responsible for what sleepy Luffy eats." Darn eat Straw Hat. Grabbing her rolling pin off the bench next to her, Rika chucks it at Luffy's head, bouncing off his hat and leaving a gigantic bump. "Sure you can. If you keep eating like this, the rest of us are going to starve and you'll be the size of a whale, you big meanie." Sue bored. Ignoring the antics of his crewmates, Zoro yawns, "When the hell are we going to reach land anyway?" Uncalled for, angrily Luffy grabs the rolling pin and chases after Rika with it. The young girl drops her frying pan and dives for cover under a pile of blankets at the ship's bow. Luffy yells after her, "Get out here and face me like a real pirate, Rika." "He'll kill me." Cheeks red, the girl screams back, "Never, you're just going to beat me up." An idea pops into her head, poking out of the blanket for a second, and she shouts, "If you hurt me, I won't be able to finish making you breakfast." "Oh yeah." Luffy drops the rolling pin, sits down and mutters, "You're lucky you can cook." Rika resumes her meal prep. "I have most of my ingredients, but how do I heat them without a fire?" She places her hand on her chin while looking around the small ship for an answer. Kobe responds to Zoro's earlier question, "At the rate we are going, we should make it to the Organ Islands by tomorrow. We'd get there a lot faster if we all started rowing, but the last time I suggested that you tried to trick me into doing it myself." Kobe looks wistfully at the unused oars on either side of the boat. For once, will you stop being a lazy jerk and help me? He attempts to will the swordsman into action. Not this again. Zoro treats this information like it is brand new, even though the two had had this exchange every 15 minutes for the last 2 hours. He leans back and laces his fingers together, placing his hands behind his head. Oh yeah. I vaguely remember you acting like a big baby when we asked you to help us row the boat. A smirk touches the corner of his lips at his selective recollection of their early argument. Enough of this crap. Kobe is filled with rage and shouts at Zoro, fine, if you want to do this then let's do this, get back here and grab a paddle. Chill out. Nobody is in a hurry but you kid. Zoro laughs as he lies across the bench, closing his eyes. Never mind kid. I knew you were too lazy to do it. Within a minute the swordsman was snoring G with him? Shaking his head in disbelief, Kobe glances at Rika. The girl appears panicked as she tries to figure out how to cook her food. Hey Rika, didn't your mom give us a flint? The words interrupt the girl, who whirls to face the pink-haired young man. If you bring it over to me along with one of the kitchen knives I can get something started in the pan for you. Back when I was a cabin boy on Alvida's ship she would make sure my food was served cold and I had to do something like this to heat it, so I'm something of an expert. It's not the same as cooking over an open flame, but it should get the job done. Thank goodness. Beaming, Rika digs through one of the bags before producing the flint and a knife. Rushing to Kobe she hands them over along with the pan of food. Thank you, Kobe. You're my hero. Turning to Luffy she puts her hands on her hips. Hey Luffy. You had better say thank you to Kobe. If he wasn't around we'd starve to death out here because of you. Not bothering to turn around, Luffy limply raises his right hand and gives a dismissive wave. Yeah. Thanks or whatever Kobe. He turns and glares at Rika. Now make me breakfast, my stomach says it's food time. 10 minutes later Rika serves the last plate of food to Zoro. Having chosen to let the swordsman sleep until the food was ready, she taps his shoulder gently, waking him up, and hands him a plate of food. Here you go sensei, I made this plate just for you. She shifts her attention to the others. Alright everybody, dig in. Still groggy, Zoro sits up, refusing to open his eyes, and takes his first bite. The texture is unexpected and he pauses midway through chewing as he tries to determine if he likes or dislikes the taste. At least it's edible. Deciding to feign enjoyment regardless of the taste for the sake of his protege, he swallows and smiles at the girl while opening his eyes. Thanks Rika, it's delicious. I'm glad we have a world-class chef like you on our crew. Glancing down at his plate, Zoro sees well-cooked eggs, steak a few shades from being raw, and hash browns that somehow transition from burnt on one end to raw and wet on the other, mostly edible at least. Does he think I'm stupid? Scowling, Rika replies angrily. Hey sensei, I know it's not perfect, but you don't have to make fun of me. I had to cook the whole thing without a stove. It's not my best work but I'm pretty happy with what I could make given the circumstances. I deserved that. A little embarrassed, the swordsman sits up and smiles at the young girl. Sorry Rika. You're right, it's not perfect, but compared to starving to death out here it's pretty damn good, and it's a hell of a lot better than anything either of these idiots could throw together. He digs into the food, carefully avoiding the inedible bits. The other crew members do the same, eating the well-cooked portions and avoiding the more raw parts, except for Luffy, who scrapes his plate clean before holding it out to Rika. More please. The girl shakes her head and laughs before serving up a second helping of everything, having anticipated the captain's ferocious hunger and preemptively made extra portions just for him. After finishing his second portion, followed by his third and fourth, Luffy finally puts his plate down and leans back, patting his bloated belly. That was delicious Rika. I can't believe it, our first meal on the sea as an official crew. This is so exciting, I can't wait for what other firsts are in store for us today. Laughing, the rubber man jumps to his feet and grabs his hat off his head before tossing it high into the sky and shouting, "She." It's great to be a pirate. As the realization of what he had just done dawns on him, Luffy's laughter subsides and his smile is quickly replaced with a look of horror. What did I just do? My Shanks hat? In desperation, Luffy starts climbing the mast trying to get up to where the hat is. But as he ascends the pole, the hat begins to fall toward the water. Luffy stretches his arm out to grab it but misses. No, I can't lose that hat. Somebody help. Shit. Standing up quickly, Zoro darts to the side of the boat, shouting, "Rika and Kobe, grab my legs." The two jump to their feet and rush over, diving for the swordsman's legs as he lunges over the side of the boat, his hands outstretched. He manages to make contact, grabbing the hat with his fingertips just as his momentum is halted by his companions taking hold of each leg. Relief washes over him as he shouts, "I got it, Luffy!" He is yanked back into the boat by the younger crewmates. The trio collapses in a pile, panting for breath as Luffy drops from the pole beside them. Phew! Breathing a sigh of relief, Luffy says, "Thanks guys. I don't know what I'd have done if I had lost that hat." Zoro hands the straw hat to Luffy, who carefully places it back on his head, "Back where you belong." A question occurs to Zoro. What's so special about that hat, Luffy? Did it belong to somebody important? Luffy sits down facing his crew members and says, "It's a long story, but I suppose you should know." He recalls the tale of where his devil fruit powers came from, why Shanks gave him the straw hat, and the promise he made to the red-headed captain 10 years earlier to return it to him once he had sailed the ocean and claimed the One Piece treasure. After listening to the story, Zoro takes a moment to collect his thoughts before saying, "Well dang Luffy. No wonder you are so passionate about becoming the Pirate King." He pauses as his eyes meet Luffy's. "I promise as long as I live, I'll do everything I can to ensure your dreams come true. And when I defeat Mihawk and take the title of the world's strongest swordsman, nobody will stop us." An evil grin spreads across his face. Kobe and Rika had both been sobbing uncontrollably and clinging to one another throughout Luffy's entire story, overwhelmed with emotions. Sniffling and wiping the tears from his eyes, Kobe says, "Me too, Captain. Someday, we are going to root out all the bad Marines like Morgan. Then I'll join them, become an admiral, and use my influence to help you become king of the pirates." Rika nods in agreement, not bothering to wipe away the snot and tears from her face. "Me three. Luffy. When Kobe fixes up the Marines, I'll be right there with him." "That's huge, Kobe." Eyes wide, Luffy springs to his feet and leaps onto the boy, wrapping his strong arms around his friend. Beaming, he declares, "I know you'll do it." Reaching toward Rika, he yanks her into the hug. Zoro's eyes grow wide as Luffy's gaze shifts toward him, and he attempts to duck out of the way but is snagged by a rubbery hand and pulled in. Giving his crew a tight squeeze, he releases them before asking, "What's for dinner? I'm getting hungry and I'm pretty sure we just ate through our entire food supply for breakfast, so we'd better catch something quick." Stumbling backward, Rika blushed in embarrassment. "I was so focused on making sure you had a great meal that I forgot to save anything for lunch and dinner. I'll be the strongest swordsman, Luffy will be the king of the pirates, and Kobe wants to fix the Marines. Quite lofty goals we have." Lost in thought, Zoro leans back and stares into the sky. After a moment, he points upwards. "Hey, look, it's a bird." "Food?" Smiling Luffy shouts, "Let's catch it so we can eat it." "Wait, what?" Zoro snaps his head back down, trying to understand. "What do you mean, catch it? It's way up there in the sky? How do you propose getting it down here?" Laughing, Luffy responds, "You just leave that to me." Stretching both arms upwards towards the top of the sails and grabbing hold, he shouts, "Gum gum rocket," before pushing off and flying through the air up towards the bird. Oh geez. You didn't think that one through, did you? CA, not this again. Luffy is always doing something crazy. As he soars through the clouds, Luffy's head is caught in the bird's beak, which ends up being significantly larger than it appeared from the boat. Not good. As the bird begins to fly away from the ship in a panic, he screams, "Help me." Grabbing the oars, Zoro and Kobe start paddling after the bird. Rika's small body is thrown by the momentum of the boat's movement to the back, and she is buried in bags and equipment that go sliding back with her. "Damn it. Think before you act." Enraged by the lunacy of his captain, Zoro shouts, "You moron! What the hell is going on now?" The small boat picks up speed as it travels directly towards the three pirates who had previously been tricked by Nami and are bobbing in the water. The second pirate shouts from the water, "Hey! Stop! You there! Stop! Please! Man overboard!" He flails his arms in the water, attempting to get the crew's attention as the boat speeds towards them. "What now?" Zoro shouts at Kobe and Rika. "Just our luck, running into shipwreckers at a time like this." He calls out to the pirates in the water, "We can't stop, you'll just need to jump in." As the boat continues flying forward, the three pirates grab a hold of the side and pull themselves out of the water and into the hull. One problem down. His eyes glued to the sky searching for his captain. Zoro compliments them. "I'm impressed you made it on board." The three pirates in unison shout, "Are you trying to kill us?" They struggle to maintain their footing as the boat continues after Luffy. Regaining their balance, the second pirate draws his sword, aiming it towards Kobe and Zoro. "Stop the boat now. The three of us are members of Buggy the Clown's pirate crew. This boat is ours." Uh-oh. Rika unburies herself from the heap in the back of the boat and silently picks up her pan, creeping up behind the three pirates, not making a noise. Abandoning his search for the bird to focus on the more immediate threat in front of him, Zoro focuses on the three pirates. Smart girl. Seeing Rika sneaking up behind them, he decides to provide a distraction. "And how do you plan on making us stop?" Zoro and Kobe continue to row without slowing down. The second pirate quickly responds, "We're the ones with weapons here," and gets ready to jump towards the pair when with a loud bang he is hit in the back of the head by a frying pan and drops to his knees, clutching his skull in pain. He is quickly joined by his two companions, who are also smashed over the head with the frying pan. As the three men groan in agony, Zoro and Kobe slow their rowing to a stop and stand up. Grabbing the three pirates by the back of their shirts and dragging them over to the oars, Kobe and Zoro drop them into place before returning to sit on either side of Rika. In a threatening tone, Zoro growls, "I'm Roronoa Zoro and these are my companions. The three of you had better start paddling or a smack on the head will be the least of your problems." The three pirates' eyes grow wide as they grab the paddles and begin paddling diligently while repeatedly begging, "Please forgive us." Scoffing, Zoro glares at the trio as they continue paddling. "Try something. I want an excuse to carve you up." His voice stern, Zoro says, "Thanks to you three idiots we lost track of our friend, so just keep paddling while we figure out what to do." The three quickly respond while shaking, "Yes sir," and increase their speed, not wanting to anger the swordsman any more than they already had. As the first pirate's panic subsides, he realizes who the swordsman is. Eyes wide he gawks before finally managing to say, "Roronoa Zoro? You're that famous pirate hunter, aren't you? Please don't turn us over to the Marines. It was an accident, I swear. Only care about yourselves." Figures. Ignoring the request, Zoro shifts his gaze from the pirates back to the sky, hoping to catch sight of the bird who had flown off with Luffy. "Where did you go, Straw Hat?" Kobe pipes up, answering Zoro's unasked question. "Luffy will figure something out when he gets to dry land. You can count on that. We just need to get there and find him." The three pirates, seeing that Zoro is distracted and feeling less immediate danger, begin talking to one another in much louder voices than they realize. The second pirate says, "So, any idea what we do now?" Looking across at him, the third pirate replies, "Good question. When Captain Buggy finds out a girl stole our boat and our treasure, we're history." The first pirate nods in agreement as they continue to row. "Huh?" Snapping his gaze back onto the pirates, Zoro asks, "Who's Buggy?" A look of confusion is painted on his face. Zoro had never heard the name before. Not being particularly interested in any pirate, he was not actively hunting for a bounty. The three pirates prepare to angrily chastise him for not knowing before Rika cuts them off. "I overheard some of the Marines talking about him in my mom's restaurant. Buggy's the captain of the Buggy Pirates. The Marines said he's ruthless and rumor has it that he's got weird powers, which probably means he ate a devil fruit like Luffy." She pauses to let the information soak in before continuing, "He has a 15 million belly bounty." "Oh no," Kobe's head whips towards Rika and his lips tremble. 15 million belly? That's crazy. Alvida only had a 5 million belly bounty. Other than Luffy, she's the strongest pirate I've ever seen. I hope we don't run into him. Amateurs. Smirking at the boy, Zoro replies, "You think a pirate with a bounty that low could stand a chance toe-to-toe with me? Don't forget who you're with, Kobe." Turning back to the pirates, Zoro asks them, "So who are the three of you anyways? I understand you're part of Buggy's crew, but what's your deal?" The first pirate confidently replies, "We are the tightrope walking Funan bros. We are the best at what we do, and what we do is get on ships," expecting a surprised reaction. His face slowly sours as he realizes his captors are completely unimpressed by the announcement. A little hurt, he says, You could at least pretend to care, you're the one who asked after all. Bah. Laughing uproariously, Zoro shakes his head until he can calm down enough to speak. Wow, tightrope walkers. That's exactly what a pirate crew needs. He grins at the trio. Geez. It's no wonder I've never heard of this buggy guy. If you three are any indication, his crew would do better in a circus than on the sea. Angrily, the pirates start to stand before Zoro shoots them an angry look, causing them to drop back down into their seats. Remembering the threat, he poses and continue paddling. Preferring to say nothing over risking their lives defending their captain, the three continue paddling towards the Organ Islands. As the trio and their captives continued to make their way toward shore, elsewhere there was a commotion on the streets of Orange Town. Nami, a map clutched in her hands, is chased down the street by three pirates. The first pirate shouts after her, "Hey girl, get back here." His companion follows up with, "You better give us that map back, or else." The third chimes in with, "We just stole that chart of the Grand Line. It belongs to us." The first pirate continues, "If we don't get that map back, we're as good as dead." The second echoes the first pirate's sentiment, "We'll be killed by one of the captain's buggy balls." Several miles above them, Luffy is wiggling his arms and legs trying to get free from the bird who had snatched him out of the air earlier. "Let go of me, Feather Brain." He had been struggling for some time, but no matter what he said or did, the bird refused to release the young pirate. What in the heck is that? Luffy hears a whistling coming towards him, followed by an explosion loud enough to be heard on the streets below. Nami and the pirates chasing her stop and turn to face the sound, only to hear a terrified scream as Luffy falls towards them. Gah! With a loud crash, he smashes into the concrete next to Nami, who shrieks in fear at the near miss as a cloud of dust and debris envelops them both. "That was close." Squinting to avoid getting dust in her eyes, Nami shouts, "What was that?" A shocked expression on their faces, the pirates question what they have just witnessed, with the first pirate saying, "What the hell?" and the second pirate verbalizes his attempt to make sense of the situation. A guy fell from the sky. See hecking that his straw hat is intact before picking himself up off the ground. Luffy shouts, "Damn it! Why were cannonballs flying at me? At least I'm free of that damn bird." What in the world? That's a person. How did he survive a fall like that? It takes a moment for Nami to regain her composure before an idea pops into her head and a mischievous grin creeps across her face. Opportunity knocks, better open the door. Completely ignoring those around him, Luffy grabs his stomach and moans, "I'm so hungry." Here goes nothing. Before the fallen boy can leave, Nami clasps her hands together and fibs, "Hey boss. Thanks for coming to save me." With her plan in motion, Nami turns around and runs down the street she had been chased down before Luffy's arrival. Easy. Who was that? Confused, Luffy turns to see the orange-haired girl racing away. Huh? Who was that? It was hard to think with an empty stomach. I don't think she's in our crew, but she called me boss. Did she hear about our victory in Shellstown? Maybe she wants to join the crew. I can't let her in without getting to know her first. But this is much easier than asking people to join. A grin lights up his face. What a sucker. As Nami continues to run down the street, she shouts over her shoulder, "They're all yours, boss. Have fun, with any luck." This stranger would distract the pirates long enough for her to escape on her boat. Better him than me. The pirate trio takes action. The first pirate yells, "Hey, that girl's getting away." The third pirate follows up, "That's okay. We've got her boss now." The second pirate stares daggers at Luffy. "You're in trouble, kid. You should have let your crony fend for herself." All three pirates walk menacingly toward Luffy until their leader, the second pirate, is less than an arm's length away. "Hey, she can wait. Need food." Luffy turns towards the pirates as his stomach growls, "So hungry. Do you know where I can eat around here?" With an exaggerated swing, the second pirate attempts to punch Luffy, but only manages to knock off his straw hat, which flies up into the air as Luffy dodges the blow. Attempting to intimidate him, the pirate says coldly, "Food's the least of your worries now." As soon as the words leave his mouth, Luffy's clenched fist connects with his face, sending him flying backward to land 20 feet behind his comrades. Not cool. The two remaining pirates retreat to check on their friend as Luffy plucks his hat out of the air on its descent to the ground and says menacingly, "You better keep your hands off my hat." Luffy smirks, "That was a sick line. I'll need to remember it for later." Right now it's punching time. Luffy's eyes lock on the remaining pirates as he cracks his knuckles. The two remaining members of the superhuman Domingo's trio grip their swords and turn to face Luffy, shouting in unison, "You bastard!" They both charge Luffy, ready to slice him to pieces. Why can't I get that kid out of my head? As the pirates brawl on the street, Nami wonders aloud. I wonder if they've killed him yet? She feels compelled by a force beyond her control to check on him. What am I doing? Who cares what happens to him? Climbing onto an adjacent rooftop, the young thief creeps back to the fighting so she can watch. As the pirates charge at Luffy, he stretches his arms backward, before shouting, "Gum Gum Pistol." He launches both fists towards the pirates. The punches connect, causing both pirates to fly backward and land on either side of their leader. Unable to stop herself, Nami gasps. Once she is certain that the pirates are no longer a threat, the orange-haired woman shouts, "You're so strong." As she carefully makes her way down from the rooftop to the second-story balcony, she continues, "They both had sabers, but you beat them barehanded." She grins as thoughts race through her head. He's so strong. I should keep this guy around. He might prove useful, especially if I run into any more of Buggy's men. Oh hey, the girl who called me boss is back. Luffy smirks. You're the girl who set me up. Who are you? He looked her up and down, sizing the woman up. What's her deal? Does she have what it takes to join my crew? Excited to ally herself with this strong young man, Nami answers with a half-truth, a talented young thief who steals strictly from pirates. The name is Nami. Do you want to team up with me? Just a thief? Lame. And she only goes after pirates. No way she'll fit in. Giving the woman a disappointed look, Luffy turns and begins walking away. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'll pass. He started making his way down the street. I've got better things to do than get my hat stolen by some petty thief. I need to find my crew. What just happened? Continuing her descent to the ground level, Nami shouts after him, "Hey, hold on." Running down the street to catch up with him, she continues, "At least think about it first." As she catches up with Luffy, they both hear a rumbling noise. The pirate captain grabs his stomach, sinking to his knees on the pavement. He moans, "I just remembered, I'm still so hungry." What's with this guy? Not willing to give up on recruiting the young man as a bodyguard, Nami thinks on her feet of a way to earn his loyalty and trust. Then come with me and I'll find you something delicious. Springing back to his feet, with renewed energy and enthusiasm, Luffy practically shouts in Nami's face, "Yeah? Are you serious?" He can barely contain his excitement. She may be a thief, but if she can get me food, she can also be a friend. She might even be allowed to join my crew if the food is good enough. Nami was taken aback by Luffy's change in attitude and stumbled trying to find an answer to his enthusiasm. Capitalize on the win, Nami. After a moment she blurts out, "Sure, we'll get you the best food this town has to offer." As soon as the words came out of her mouth, she realized it was a mistake. She had arrived less than a day earlier and had spent most of her time squatting in an abandoned house devising a plan to steal the Grand Line map from Buggy. Maybe I can take him to the house and tell him it's a high-class exclusive restaurant. This guy is so scatterbrained he might not know the difference. If he figures it out, I'll just come. She waves toward the young man, "Follow me." A short time later, Luffy is sitting at the dining room table of the house Nami had been squatting in. The young pirate scarfed down stale bread like his life depended on it. His stomach starting to feel full, Luffy says between bites, "So do you live in this big house all by yourself?" Absent-mindedly, Nami replies honestly, "This isn't my house. I'm just staying here for the time being. Everyone's left town because of Captain Buggy." She was mildly concerned about how much bread he was eating, especially since some of it had patches of mold growing on the outside, but he didn't seem bothered by it and she wasn't about to point it out and risk an argument. Continuing to shovel food into his mouth, Luffy blurts out his next thought, "So you're just a petty thief?" To him, it was a pretty accurate description of her lifestyle and he wasn't concerned with trying to impress her, having again decided that he did not need a thief in his crew. What a jerk. Offended, Nami quickly replies, "How rude. I only steal from the people who deserve it. Pirates, don't compare me to a petty street thief." She harumphed and crossed her arms in a signal of disgust that went directly over Luffy's head. Not one to care much about subtlety and nuance, Luffy swallows his food so that his mouth is clear enough to say, "A thief's a thief as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't matter who they're stealing from." Nami looks out the window and reflects on her motivations. She ignores the young man's dismissive comment. My goal is to steal 100 million belly no matter how hard it is or how long it takes. Trying to understand, Luffy probes. What do you need so many belly for anyway? Not wanting to give away too much information to a man who is practically a stranger, Nami replies, it's a secret. But with this chart of the Grand Line, the 100 million belly is now a definite possibility. It takes a few moments for her words to sink in, but when it does he looks at Nami in surprise. A chart? So you must be a navigator? That got his attention. Nami beams excitedly at Luffy. I'm the most skilled navigator you're ever likely to meet. Rising from the table in excitement, Luffy quickly thinks of what to say and begins spewing every thought in his head at Nami. Oh wow. Perfect. Then why don't you join my pirate crew? I've been looking to recruit a professional navigator. My name's Luffy, by the way. I forgot to say that earlier. Right now we are being guided by a former cabin boy and he does a pretty good job, but he's not the most skilled navigator I'll ever meet. Realizing that Kobe might be hurt if he heard this, he quickly follows up with, don't tell Kobe I said that. He's great and tries hard, but we have room for improvement in our navigation. Feigning excitement and leaning across the table towards Luffy with a smile, Nami says, really? You want me to join your pirate crew as your navigator? Goading the boy into continuing. Arms lifted over his head, Luffy replies, sure, you can be our newest crew member. The metaphorical shoe hits the floor as Nami sharply responds, no, glaring at Luffy and crossing her arms. She angrily continues in disgust, I guess this means you are a pirate too. Failing to keep up with Nami's shifting mood and still excited about possibly recruiting her, Luffy shouts, yeah, I made a promise. Taking off his straw hat, he looks down lovingly at it before continuing, I promised the guy who gave me this hat that I'd form a mighty crew and become the greatest pirate ever. This guy is as thick as a brick. Slapping her hands on the table to get Luffy's attention, Nami shouts, there's nothing in this world I despise more than pirates. I only like money and tangerines. Putting the hat back on his head, Luffy tilts his head to the side. Tangerines? That's a pretty random thing to like. Unwilling to give up on the opportunity, he continues, come on Nami, be our navigator, it'll be fun. It's like he's not even listening to me. Nami angrily walks away from Luffy, I said no. Sitting back down at the table and picking up another loaf of bread, Luffy half-heartedly replies, your loss. Before stuffing the entire loaf into his mouth in one gigantic bite. Returning to the window, Nami overhears two pirates in the street talking about her and the map she stole and questioning how they can capture her. She hides behind the window curtain so that they don't see her while they talk and continues to eavesdrop on their conversation. Wait a second, what if I can kill two birds with one stone? A devious plan plays out in her mind as she walks back towards Luffy and says in the sweetest voice she can muster, I guess I might consider joining you, but only if you agree to certain conditions. Really? Excited at her sudden change of heart, Luffy quickly agrees, I'll do anything. Sucker. Nami gets a calculating and mischievous look in her eyes. Well then, I want you to come with me to pay a little visit to Buggy the pirate. But first, she picks up some rope and ties it around Luffy's torso before tying his hands together behind his back. Confused, Luffy questions Nami on her actions. Why do you have to tie me up? With a wicked smile, Nami replies, don't worry, the ropes are just for appearances. Accepting this explanation without question, Luffy beams and says, okay then. I've been looking forward to meeting other pirates. Let's get going. That was too easy. Nami leads him towards the door by the rope, shocked that her plan worked with such little effort on her part. He's not that bright if he fell for such a simple trick. Several minutes later, on the flat rooftop balcony of a nearby building, Nami leads Luffy by his rope into a gathering of pirates, interrupting Buggy, who was chewing out the trio she had escaped from earlier. Several pirates wearing bright clown makeup are gathered around the perimeter. Upon spotting the young thief, they point and yell, calling out her identity to Buggy as she approaches. Nami shoves Luffy in the back, causing the young man to face plant into the ground before saying to the clown pirate, I've captured your thief, Buggy the clown, and here's your chart back. Walking confidently forward, the rolled up chart in her hand, she makes her way towards Buggy, who sits on an elaborate throne inside a large circus tent. Laughing aloud, the clown pirate asks a rather obvious question, Yahahahahahaha. And what made you flashily change your mind? He meets Nami's gaze and sneers, girl. I don't like how he said girl, and what does he mean by flashily? I better keep my wits about me. Nami chooses to maintain her composure and continues with her mentally rehearsed speech. He pissed me off for the last time and I realized that I'm sick of dealing with such an idiotic captain. So I am turning him over to you along with this map with the hope that I can ask you for a favor. Leaning forward, hands folded under his chin, Buggy queries, and what kind of flashily favor would that be? Again with that word. Pirates are so weird. Nami does her best to push past the strangeness and continues. Why, I'd like to join your crew. Everybody knows what a great pirate you are, and without this idiot holding me back I am finally free to join you. Gyahahahahahahaha. Buggy and his pirates burst into laughter at her request but eventually settled down. Wiping the tears from his eyes, Buggy leans back, and what makes you think you have what it takes to flashily join my crew? Nami had hoped Buggy wouldn't need to be convinced but had prepared for this scenario. In a calm tone she says, well, I did manage to get past 3 of your pirates and steal a map of the Grand Line without anyone noticing me. I figured you'd thief with my skills. Her bottom lip trembles as she forces a tear from her eyes. But if you would prefer to send me alone out into the dangerous ocean by myself. She leaves the statement in the air for the pirates to fill in with whatever horrible fate they can imagine. Several of the Buggy pirates cough nervously, as they picture the dangers Nami might face alone on the sea. Buggy presses the tips of his fingers together and rests his chin against his index fingers, seemingly lost in thought. An evil grin spreads across his lips, then that flashily settles it. Welcome to the Buggy Pirates. What's your name, girl? The other pirates let out a loud cheer and Buggy takes a deep breath, basking in the joy of his crew before lifting his hands to silence them. I had a small hiccup, but the plan worked. It's not surprising, pirates are narcissists and he played right into my hand. Nami smiles and answers, the name is Nami, I am so glad you let me join your crew, I'm excited to get settled in. She glances around, searching for something. Where is the supply room? I have some stuff I need to drop off there before I can get started. If Buggy runs things like the other pirates I've robbed in the past, his treasury will be right next to the supplies. I just have to wait for him to get distracted enough to steal back the map, take all his valuables and leave this island. If I get lucky, I might reach my 100,000 belly goal. Her smile widens as she thinks through her plan. Buggy tossed the map to one of his henchmen, flashily shows our newest recruit to the storage room, then put this back in the treasury. And this time, he grins at the unfortunate man. Make sure it's secure. Yes, boss, right away, boss. The man, now sweating profusely, leads Nami toward a nearby building that the crew had renovated into a makeshift barracks. As the duo leaves, Buggy snaps his fingers calling his crew's attention. Somebody get this runt out of my sight. He again leans back in his chair, crossing his right foot over his left knee. Right away, boss. 2 large pirates wearing clown makeup lift Luffy off the ground and toss him roughly into a steel cage. They waste no time snapping a lock into place and chuck the key to their captain, who catches it and clips it to his pants. Once they are confident that the cage is secured, the pirates reach through the bars to untie Luffy, who snaps his mouth at whichever body part gets close to his face. What do they think I am? Some animal on display at the zoo? Once he is untied, Luffy jumps to his feet and grabs the cage bars before shouting at Buggy. What are you going to do to me, Bungie? Don't think I'm going down without a fight, you clown? Buggy roars with laughter. Yahahahahaha. We'll deal with you in good time. For now, you need to sit there and enjoy the show. Crossing his arms, Luffy drops back to the ground and begins pouting like a child. I don't want to. Buggy was getting irritated at the boy's theatrics. Did you get hit in the head as a kid? Something is flashily wrong in your brain. Luffy scowls back. What's it to you? He stops for a moment before shouting. This is so boring, can't you give me something to do while I'm stuck here? Somewhat confused by the sudden change in mood and topic, Buggy snaps his fingers, causing one of his pirates to spring into place in front of him. The clown pirate whispers. Figure out how to flashily shut him up. Maybe give him one of Richie's toys to play with so he stops ruining the fun around here. You got it, boss. Following his captain's orders, the pirate retrieves a ball gag and a squeaky ball. Making his way to the cage, he drops the squeaky ball into Luffy's hands, distracting the pirate long enough to slip the ball gag into his mouth and tie it behind his head. Aside from the occasional squeak from the former chew toy, the rooftop is left relatively quiet. After almost an hour, Nami returns to find Luffy sitting in the corner of his cage, gag in place, staring transfixed at a giant squeaky ball that he is rolling back and forth between his hands. Is he a child? It had taken longer than expected to find the treasury, and she hoped the delay did not raise suspicions. Walking up to Buggy, she announces, "I got all of my things put away and am ready for your orders, Captain." Surprised that it had taken her so long to put away her gear, Buggy mumbles, "Girls sure take a flashily long time getting ready." Clearing his throat, Buggy claps his hands together. "Anyways, onto the fun part. We'll throw the biggest party this island has ever seen to celebrate our newest crewmate." At first, Nami is concerned about being the focus of attention but realizes that a party will provide the perfect cover to steal Buggy's treasure. "If Luffy doesn't annoy me too much, I might even set him free before I leave the island." Nami smiles at the clown. "That sounds fun, Captain. I can hardly wait." Buggy muses more to himself than to Nami. "Wonderful, because the party flashily starts right now. Yahahahahahaha." He laughs as his crew springs to action, quickly assembling his carnival. In wonder and amazement, Nami looks around as the circus tents seemingly burst to life. A group of clown pirates begin singing and playing music loudly in one tent, while other pirates quickly string up colorful reflective ornaments that sparkle in the midday light. Another group of pirates retrieves a banquet table covered in delicious freshly cooked food. Carnival-style games and rides are assembled along the rooftop's edge, and at the center of all the commotion stands a giant cannon, its barrel facing towards what appears to be a recently demolished building. He may be a degenerate pirate, but Buggy knows how to put on a show. With how fresh the food looked, she figured he had planned this party before her arrival, and her joining his crew was an excuse to throw it. Nami gasps and claps her hands together. "This is so cool, my old captain never did anything like this for me. Isn't that right, Luffy?" She glares at Luffy, continuing to sell her lie. Luffy ignores everything around him and resumes batting the toy ball between his hands. Buggy laughs uproariously at Nami. "Yahahahahaha. You have a temper, girl. I'm so flashily happy to have you on my crew." Rising to his feet, Buggy yells, "Let the party begin." The clown pirates cheer and begin partaking in the various games and activities around them. While the pirates are distracted, Nami sneaks back to the treasury. Once there, she gathers up as much gold and gemstones as her small frame can carry. Spotting an oversized bag, she fills it with her stolen treasure. "I'll free Luffy, come back and get my treasure and be out of here before Buggy knows I'm missing." Nami stashes the bag in a corner out of sight. Looking around, she spots the map of the Grand Line and tucks it into her waistband. "I've got to keep you close. I can't risk losing something this precious." Looking around to verify she hasn't been spotted, Nami carefully closes the treasury room door before returning to the carnival. As she ascends the stairs to the rooftop, Nami recalls the strange warning she was given by the pirate who earlier escorted her. "Buggy is a fun captain. Just make sure you don't say anything about his nose, he's sensitive about it." At the time, this had struck Nami as odd. She had assumed that the round red nose on Buggy's face was made of plastic or cotton and had not considered the possibility that it might be real, but she had taken note of it on her return trip, and sure enough it was, in fact, his actual nose. Reaching the rooftop, Nami makes her way toward Luffy, who is no longer focused on the ball but is instead dragging his rubbery arm across the ground using his pointer and middle finger towards the table covered in food to steal something to eat. He is so preoccupied with HISD that he doesn't notice Nami's approach. She frowns at the stretched out arm. That's weird." Deciding it's not worth investigating, she leans down and whispers, "Hey Luffy, I'm here to set you free. But first, let me get that thing out of your mouth." Reaching into the cage, she carefully unties the rope holding the ball gag in the young man's mouth, and he spits it onto the ground. She. Luffy laughs loudly before shouting, "Hey, thanks Nami. So how is the plan going? Did you steal back the map and all of his treasure?" SSSSSSSH. Angrily, Nami holds her finger up to her lips before hissing, "Will you be quiet? Do you want Buggy's crew to know we are still working together?" She slaps the boy across the head. "You're such an idiot." Luffy grunts as her hand connects with his head and obediently apologizes at a lower volume. "Sorry about that." He twists his head enough to see Nami. "Can you get me out of here? I want some of that meat." Using his left hand, Luffy points at his right, which continues crawling toward the food. "Let's see." Nami doesn't answer but instead walks to the cage door. Upon finding it locked, she pulls a pin from her hair and attempts to pick it open. As she works on the lock, she says to Luffy, "Food should be the least of your worries right now. I take it from the weird stretchy stuff you're doing that you're a devil fruit user?" She glances up and sees Luffy nod before resuming her work. "What do you think Buggy and his pirates will do when they learn that? I heard you devil fruit users can't swim. He might just throw this cage into the ocean." With a sigh, she gives up on picking the lock. Returning the pin to her hair, she circles the cage and approaches Luffy. Smiling, she lowers herself to Luffy's level and says quietly, "Just wait here for a couple of minutes." She glances at the hand as it continues advancing across the ground. "And stop trying to cause a scene with that hand of yours. I'll steal the keys from Buggy, then we can get out of here. Deal?" She had no intention of leaving with the pirate, but sacrificing him to whatever fate Buggy had in store felt wrong. Retracting his arm back into the cage, Luffy reluctantly agrees. "Fine, deal." He glances longingly at the table piled high with food. "But you better be quick. I don't know how much longer I can last without eating." Luffy dramatically grabs his stomach with both hands and rolls onto his side. "You just ate before we got here." Shaking her head at the pirate's ridiculous antics, Nami crosses through the partiers towards Buggy, attempting to think of a way to distract the clown pirate long enough for her to steal the key attached to his waistband. When she gets close, an idea occurs to her and she picks up her pace until she is in front of the pirate, who is again sitting on his throne, looking bored as he lazily watches the party. "Buggy, I've been meaning to ask you, what's up with that cannon over there?" She points at the large cannon in the center of the party. Buggy springs to his feet and shouts, "I almost forgot to flashily show you my greatest weapon." He places his hands on his sides and laughs loudly. "Yahahahahaha. Somebody prepare a Buggy ball so we can put on a show for Nami here." Temporarily distracted, Buggy doesn't notice Nami nimbly removing the keys from his pants. A pair of large clown pirates run into the tent and return carrying a large red cannonball with a clown-nosed skull and crossbones painted on it. They load the ball into the cannon as Buggy leads Nami over to it. A small bald pirate approaches Buggy, holding a lighter. With a mischievous smirk, the pirate asks, "What would you like to blow up today, Captain?" Buggy flippantly points a finger at a nice-looking house. To her horror, Nami recognizes it as the house she had previously been squatting in. "That one will do." Laughing, the small pirate grabs the back of the cannon, aiming it downwards at the house, and with a flick of the lighter, he ignites the cannon's fuse. Taking notice of the cannon, many nearby pirates stop what they are doing and cover their ears. Seeing this, Nami follows suit and covers her ears as the flame travels down the wick towards the cannon. With a loud boom, the Buggy ball flies at the house. Upon impact, it explodes, leaving only rubble and a cloud of dust. "I was in there an hour ago." Nami's pupils dilate as she pictures what would have happened if she and Luffy had been in the house when it exploded. Once the initial shock has worn off, she turns to Buggy and forces a smile. "That was pretty cool, boss. So, should we get back to the party?" "Yahahahahahaha." The clown pirate laughs, but this time with a much crueler edge before meeting Nami's gaze. It was time to test her loyalty. "Oh no, Nami, we're just getting started. Now that you've seen the flashily power of my Buggy balls, it's time for us to take care of that former captain of yours." He points at the cage holding Luffy. "Since he pissed you off so much, I'll let you do the honors." The clown pirate snaps his fingers twice. The two large pirates run back into the tent, retrieving a second Buggy ball and a replacement fuse. The small pirate from earlier produces from his pocket a bag filled with what looks like dark sand that Nami realizes is black powder and carefully pours it into the cannon. Once the powder has been poured, the larger pirates load the cannonball and carefully feed the fuse into the device. Satisfied at the work of his crewmates, Buggy places his hand on the cannon and roughly spins it so that the barrel faces Luffy. The small pirate walks over to Nami and hands her his lighter, a look of irritation on his face. None of the pirates notice that the gag previously held in Luffy's mouth is no longer in place. Rising to his feet, Luffy walks to the bars of his cage. The pirate stares at Nam. "Either my instincts were right about you or this will get ugly." A smile spreads across his lips as he meets the orange-haired woman's eyes. A bead of sweat runs down Nami's brow as she carefully considers her next move. Shakily she puts her hand on the cannon. How can I delay without being too obvious about it? Can I kill someone in cold blood like this? He may be a pirate, but he's so much different than the other pirates I've met. What other option do I have? If I don't do anything, they'll probably get angry and kill me too. It's worse for us both to die than just him, right? Her fingers tremble and she nearly drops the lighter as she turns to Buggy. Are you sure you don't want to do it? It is your buggy balls. I wouldn't want to steal the show from you. If we switch places, it might give me enough time to come up with a way to stop this from happening. Her mind was racing, but try as she might, she couldn't come up with an answer. Annoyed, Buggy rolls his eyes. No, you need to prove your loyalty to me. He clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, a sour look on his face. What's the hold up? You said he pissed you off. This is your chance to get revenge. You should be flashily enjoying this moment. Swing and a miss. Turning back to Luffy, Nami swallows hard. Placing her hand on top of the cannon, Nami attempts to buy more time as she adjusts the barrel. Buggy interrupts the young woman. Quit wasting time and blow him away so we can get back to the party. Nami flicks the lighter restlessly and takes a deep breath. She closes her eyes. Please. I can't do this. I won't do it. Her eyes snap open, filled with resolve. As she closes the lid of the lighter, Nami had prayed for a miracle and her prayers were answered. As soon as the lid to the lighter closes, she hears steel striking steel and spins to see a man with green hair with a sword held in his mouth and swords in each hand locked in combat with Buggy. The Cloud Pirate is holding a pair of short swords and sweating as he defends himself against the unexpected onslaught. To the swordsman's left is a young dark-haired girl holding a short sword, and to his right is a teenage boy with Kobe pink hair with a wooden club. In the cage, Luffy pumps his hands over his head. You guys made it just in time. Nami almost blew my head off. Anger floods Nami's body, causing a vein to pop out and pulse on her forehead. Do you think I'm capable of doing something so barbaric, Luffy? Zoro grins. Better late than never, right, Captain? He takes several steps back as he prepares his next attack. The clown pirate had proved fairly unskilled as a swordsman, and Zoro was confident in his upcoming victory. Yahahahaha. Buggy charges at Zoro and jumps into the air. He yells his catchphrase, flashily, as he drops toward the swordsman. On instinct, Zoro calls out, 3 sword style. Ogre cutter. He delivers 3 precise strikes, bisecting the clown's left hand, both legs, torso and head. The body parts land on the ground, producing a dull thud. Sheathing the blades he held in his hands, Zoro pulls Wado Ichimonji from his mouth and points it towards Nami. With a menacing glare, he walks toward her. What do you think you're doing with that cannon pointed at our captain? Oh no, this has to look bad. Eyes wide with fear, Nami desperately tries to explain herself. Oh me? I'm a friend of Luffy's. We were trying to trick Buggy so he could steal his treasure. She glances over her shoulder at the pirate grinning like a maniac. But things got a little out of hand. It's a good thing you showed up when you did. Isn't that right, Luffy? Luffy gives a thumbs up. Sure is. Nami's the best navigator in the East Blue, and she's going to be joining our crew. Navigator? Hurt. Kobe replies. I thought I was the navigator. Are you trying to replace me, Captain? She. Luffy shifts his focus to the pink-haired man. Don't worry, Kobe. We'll figure out something fun for you to do. Our dinghy is a mess. Maybe you could help clean it up like you did for Alvida's ships? This was exactly the work I just escaped from, and now Luffy is tossing me right back into it. All pirates may be the same after all. Dejected, Kobe hangs his head. If you say so, Luffy. Zoro interrupts the banter. What are you doing in there? Let me get you out of that thing. He approaches the cage, eyeing it for weaknesses. Seriously, does he think I didn't try that? Exasperated, Nami says to the swordsman. I already tried to pick the locks. That thing is impenetrable. Luckily Her words slow down as the pieces of Buggy's body rise into the air. They begin moving back toward his body. She stops talking as her focus is glued to the flying body parts. What in the heck is going on? The clown pirates on the roof begin laughing to themselves. Worried, Nami tries to get Zoro's attention. Hey you, I think. Zoro cuts her off. I don't know you and I don't care what you think. Shut up so I can get my captain out of this cage. This is bad. Rika tries to help the orange-haired girl. Sensei, I think you should listen. The pieces of the clown pirate snap together except for one of his hands, which starts flying towards the distracted swordsman. The hand picks up speed, knife aimed at Zoro's back. Not now, let me get Luffy out, then we can talk, Zoro snaps back. Scared for Zoro's safety, Kobe yells, Zoro, look out. Buggy's shrill voice calls out, chop chop cannon. Before the swordsman can react, the flying blade pierces his back, stabbing through his body and protruding grotesquely from his stomach. His clothes are stained a crimson red from blood and he drops to his knees. Yahahahahahahaha. From behind Zoro, Buggy cruelly taunts his victim. What's the matter, did I hurt you? You are supposed to be stronger than that. Pirate hunter Zoro. Before they can ask how he is still alive, he volunteers. As for how I flashily pulled off that trick, I ate the chop chop fruit. I'm a chop chop person and can never be defeated by the sword. Yahahahahahaha. Laughing menacingly, Buggy begins walking towards the wounded Zoro, intending to finish him off. His knife is yanked from Zoro's body and flies through the air, reattaching to Buggy's wrist. Closing his eyes and breathing deeply, Kobe assesses the situation. Rika and Zoro are both sword fighters and will be unable to deal with this threat. It's up to me to stop the clown. Eyes snapping open, he grips the heavy club tightly in his hands. The pink-haired pirate steps between Buggy and Zoro. If you want him, you'll have to go through me, big nose. The clown pirates gasp in shock at the boy's words. Remembering the warning she had been given, Nami shakes her head. You shouldn't have said that, kid. Buggy stops his advance on the swordsman and turns to face Kobe. Spittle flies from his mouth as he yells in a fury. The flashily hell did you just say to me? Is there something wrong with my nose? His focus is locked on Kobe. Any thoughts of finishing the pirate hunter are pushed aside by his new desire to punish the boy for his poor choice of words. I've got to risk it all if I'm going to buy the others enough time to figure out an escape plan. Gulping hard, Kobe doubles down on his insult. Yeah, it's big and ugly just like you. It's a nose not even a mother could love. The clown pirates nearest to the fight begin to back away in fear. They had seen Buggy fly off the rails at the accidental mention of the word nose and were worried about what he would do to somebody who was purposefully mocking the distinctive feature. Blinded by rage, Buggy charges towards Kobe. I'll make you flashily regret saying that, you runt. Swinging his knives wildly, the clown attempts to cut the boy down. The pink-haired man easily deflects each attack with his club. Rika runs over to Nami, who is distracted watching the fight, and asks, shouldn't we do something about this cannon? If it stays pointed at Luffy, it might get fired at him. Huh? The girl's question snaps Nami back to reality and she smiles. Good idea, sweetie. You grab that side and I'll grab this one. Let's see if we can use this thing on those nasty clowns. The girls work together to twist the cannon around until it is aimed at the clown pirates, who shrink further back in fear. Handing the lighter to Rika, Nami says in her sweetest voice, I think you can figure out what to do with this. I'll check on your friend and make sure he's okay. As Kobe continues to fight off Buggy, he shouts at his crewmates, I don't know how long I can keep this up with Ugly Nose here, so you had better figure out something quick. Completely overcome with rage, Buggy picks up the pace of his attacks at the cost of precision and strength as he attempts to overwhelm the boy with his onslaught. I'll make you flashily eat those words. You better keep my nose out of your damn mouth. Dropping to her knees next to Zoro, Nami places her hand over his wound. Do you think you can stand? We need to get you and your captain out of here. That way you can recover and we can get him out of that cage. Wincing as he picks himself up off the ground, Zoro rises to his feet. This stab wound is nothing. A warrior like me is trained to tune out such things. Damn that clown and his dirty tricks. He masks his discomfort with a serious look. If you want to be of use, then help me get Luffy out of here. Then I can lay down for a fay. These boys are always so macho. I'll play along if it gets us somewhere less dangerous. Nami walks over to the cage and attempts to lift it. Sure, big guy, whatever you say. No matter how hard she tries, the cage doesn't budge. Zoro limps after her, wincing with each step, before stopping at the other side and in a demonstration of his remarkable strength, lifts the cage into the air and drops it onto his back. I guess I'll have to do everything myself. Through gritted teeth, he says, I know what you were doing before we got here. Before you stab us all in the back, can you do me a favor and find a way to secure this thing, so it doesn't slide off of me while I'm moving? Just what does he think I did? Hurt by his accusation, Nami chooses to forego her frustration and looks around for some rope. Finding her quarry in a heap several feet away, she scoops it up and returns to the swordsman. She ties the rope around his midsection and the cage bars, careful to avoid his wound. Once she is satisfied, she nods. That should do nicely. What's taking so long? Turning her attention to Rika, she calls out, "Sweetie, what are you waiting for? Fire the cannon so we can get out of here." "Oh right." Nodding, Rina flicks the lighter. Before she lights the fuse, she shouts out, "Hey Kobe, I have a surprise for Buggy and his friends. Quit fighting and get over here." Buggy's attacks had slowed considerably as the clown grew weary from his fight against the pink-haired boy. Kobe welcomes the slowed assault, equally tired. He is relieved to hear Rika, and remembering a technique he had seen Alvida utilize on unruly members of the crew, calls out, "Home run." Sliding his left foot forward and his right foot back, he twists clockwise, drawing the club over his right shoulder before reversing directions and twisting counterclockwise while swinging the club at Buggy. Mustering the last of his strength, he delivers a powerful blow to the clown pirate's stomach and sends him flying backward. With the newly formed gap between him and his opponent, Kobe retreats to safety behind the cannon. Rika presses the flame from the lighter against the fuse, which catches and begins burning toward the cannon. Once he has regained his breath, Buggy yells, "Get back here, Pipsqueak, I'm not flashily done with." His words are cut short as he sees the cannon aimed at him, the fuse burning towards its destination. Turning and running towards his crew, he shouts, "Retreat!" The clown pirates scatter to avoid the impending explosion. Luffy and his crew cover their ears and brace for the shockwave. The cannon fires and the buggy ball is sent flying towards Buggy, smacking him in the butt before it explodes, sending the clown pirates flying in every direction. Luckily for Buggy, he had the forethought to detach his butt from his body using his devil fruit ability, and the rest of his body had run far enough away that he was sent flying along with his pirates rather than being blown to bits by the explosion. As he sails away, Buggy shouts, "We'll be back. You haven't seen the last of us." The smoke clears and the pirate crew gathers alongside newcomer Nami to determine a plan of action. Rika volunteers, "On our way here, we passed a shop that looked like it had some food and supplies. We should stop there and stock up before we leave town." Luffy laughs from his cage, "She, good idea Rika. I'm pretty sure all of the food on the ship vanished, so we need to pick up something to eat." "It vanished, huh? Interesting memory you have there, Captain." Rika's eyebrows furrow and she glares at her captain. "The food didn't vanish, Luffy. You ate it all." She takes a deep breath before continuing, "Anyways, we need to buy food and other supplies in town before we leave." "They must not know." A pained expression crosses Nami's face. "I don't know about purchasing, sweetie. This town is pretty deserted. Buggy and his pirates scared most shop owners away. We might need to steal supplies. Luckily I'm a master thief, so if you see something we need, I'll get us inside." As the girls talk, Luffy stares intently at the sword in Rika's hand, and as soon as Nami finishes speaking, blurts out, "Hey Rika, what's up with the sword? Pretty sure that's new." Zoro sighs, "It's a long story, Luffy, and you are getting kind of heavy. Can Rika and Kobe explain it while we head to that shop?" Grinning, Luffy flashes another thumbs up, "Sure thing Zoro, let's get going." As the quintet makes their way down to the street and looks for the shop, Kobe and Rika tell the story of their arrival. Several hours earlier, the boat had just landed at the docks. Kobe and Rika climb out of the ship while Zoro grabs the three tightrope walking pirates and tosses them onto the street before joining his crewmates. As the former captives run away, Zoro shouts, "You better not think about coming back here or you'll have to deal with me." Zoro turns to his companions. "Luffy is bound to be at the center of anything crazy happening here. Until we figure out where that is happening, we should check out the city." Excited to be back on land, Rika exclaimed, "You got it, sensei. I hope we can find some toys for the ship and cute clothes." "I'm not so sure about this." Kobe mumbles, "Those pirates seemed pretty excited to get here." He glances in the direction the pirates fled. "I wouldn't be surprised if they have some friends lurking around. We should keep an eye out for trouble just in case." "Smart kid." Zoro nods, affirming Kobe's suggestion. "Good point. Who knows what we'll run into here." I want you both to stick close to me so I can keep you safe. Slightly offended, Kobe retorts, I can take care of myself, Zoro. I'm not a weakling like her. He stabs his finger accusingly at Rika. Pouting, Rika folds her arms. I'm not weak. Tell him about my training, sensei. Huh, what training? Zoro ponders his response momentarily before grinning wickedly. Technically you woke up too late this morning and didn't get a chance to train. Besides, you don't even have a sword yet. Maybe we can fix that here in town, but until then, he glances at Kobe and winks. Kobe is right, you are pretty weak. Furious to the point of tears at the older boys, Rika shouts, you don't know anything. Luffy wanted me to join his crew because I'm strong no matter what you jerks say. Turning, she abruptly runs down the street, not paying attention to where she is going. Zoro and Kobe glance at one another and roll their eyes before following the young girl. Before they catch up to her, Rika slams head first into a rotund pirate. As she falls to her knees from the impact, the pirate sneers down at her and says, look what we got here, boys. Maybe we can ransom her back to her family. His three companions laugh in agreement and circle Rika, who is still crying, now out of fear of these pirates rather than frustration at her crewmates. Zoro slides to a stop and shouts at the four pirates surrounding Rika, you better get the hell away from her if you know what's good for you. The pirates turn to look at Zoro but maintain their circle around Rika, preventing her from escaping. The skinniest pirate responds, what are you planning on doing about it, tough guy? We are the acrobatic Fuas, the elite guards of the buggy pirates. Spitting on the ground before he draws his blades, Zoro dons his traditional three-sword stance with Wado Ichimonji gripped between his teeth. He growls around the blade, I don't care who you idiots are. But I'd be happy to kick your asses if that's what you want. Shifting their focus away from Rika, who continues to shake in fear on the ground, the four pirates move to form a barrier between her and Zoro. The larger pirate from earlier says, that sounds like a threat. You better be ready to back it up, pal. With the RGE at Zoro, swords above their heads ready to strike him down. Breathe in and out. Closing his eyes for a moment to focus, he takes a deep breath before snapping his eyes open and calling out, three-sword style, ogre cutter. The wind whips around his body as his slashes connect with the clown pirates, sending them all tumbling backward and knocking the swords from their hands before they fall to the ground in a heap. Zoro sheathes his blades as he looks at the now unconscious acrobats before shifting his gaze to Rika. Walking to her side, he offers her his hand as he calmly says, why don't we solve the not having a sword problem right now? He gestures with his free hand at the blades scattered across the street. I see 4 fine swords lying on the ground. Pick whichever one feels right and we can get started on your training. I knew Sensei wasn't such a meanie. Wiping the tears from her eyes, Rika accepts his hand and allows him to pull her to her feet. The excitement begins to course through her as his words sink in. Do you mean it, Sensei? I can just take one of their swords, then you'll teach me to be as strong as you? Running over to the swords on the ground, she picks through them until she finds a short sword that she can easily lift. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Zoro reaches up to scratch the back of his head, a little nervous about giving such an impulsive child a dangerous weapon. Well, I don't know if you'll ever be as strong as me, but, he points at Kobe whose mouth drops open, I can promise you'll be able to kick that weakling's butt once I'm done teaching you a few things. Enraged, Kobe yells, who are you calling weak, Zoro? There's no way a little kid like Rika could take me on. Oh great, I've upset the boy now. Zoro laughs as he tries to calm Kobe's newfound anger. Da ha 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 ha. Relax, kid. I'll give you some tips too so you can stop looking like such a fool swinging that club around. Calm down, Kobe. This is a good opportunity, don't let your anger mess it up. Wrestling control away from his rage, Kobe accepts the offer, fine. But you better stop calling me weak. After putting some distance between themselves and the unconscious pirates, Zoro spends the next hour teaching the pair basic combat techniques, including how to strike, parry, dodge and block incoming attacks. Satisfied that they have mastered the basics, Zoro ends the lesson. You two are doing great. Let's keep practicing tomorrow so we can keep those skills fresh. He focuses his gaze on Rika and grins. Now it's time to go shopping. Rika, I think you said you wanted some toys for the ship and a dress. Plus we need more food to keep up with Luffy's appetite. The pair agree and start to make their way up the road when suddenly they hear a loud explosion from the east. Oh, come on, This isn't fair. Rika looked longingly at the windows lining the street before turning to Zoro. That's him, isn't it? Do we have to go right now? Can we go into just one store first? She gives the swordsman her best puppy dog look. Luffy is strong. He can take care of himself without our help. I wish we could, but unfortunately, our duty is to the captain. Zoro sighs loudly and gives the girl a pained look. Sorry Rika. But you've met the captain. He's probably got himself into some sort of trouble. We better go bail him out. The three take off after the noise, with Kobe leading the way, occasionally interrupted by Zoro's insistence that the sound was coming from the opposite direction to which they were headed. Rika finished recalling the story, and that's when we arrived and stopped you from getting blown to pieces. Guess it was a good idea to skip shopping after all. She smiles. A few more minutes and you'd have been toast, Captain. Having arrived at the shop, Zoro leans back, allowing the cage on his back to drop to the ground. Nami quickly unties it, and as soon as she is done, the swordsman sprawls out in the dirt, panting for breath. That took more out of me than I thought it would. I need to get back into the gym. Weakly he replies to Rika. I'm not that bad with directions, and I am pretty sure we ran in a circle for a while. Rika and Kobe shake their heads and mouth no out of Zoro's line of vision. Luffy looks at the shop and spots a small dog sitting alone in the front, seemingly guarding it. Aw, a cute doggy. Luffy shouts at the canine. Hey, what are you doing over there? The dog barks in reply. Bark, you're with Bark. That buggy monster. Bark. This is my Bark master's shop. Bark, come any closer. Bark. I'll rip your faces off. Luffy grins and makes a thumbs up motion. He says he wants to be our friend. Before he can say any more, a man steps out from the alley to the left of the shop. Wearing handmade armor and looking scared, the man says, What are you doing here? I told you pirates to leave Chow Chow in this shop alone. It's just a pet store. It's no use to any of you. He puffs out his chest, trying to appear more intimidating. As the mayor of Orangetown, I, Boodle, order you all to leave here at once. Maybe we can reason with him. Nami, in an attempt to smooth the situation over, replies with a smile. Hey, we aren't with those buggy pirates. Rika here just blew them up with their cannon. We just need food and supplies, then we'll be on our way. Noticing the injured swordsman for the first time, Mayor Boodle rushes to his side. You're hurt. Even if you are pirates, I can't just leave you out here to die like this. Come. My house is just up the road. You can rest up there and recover. While the others are distracted, Kobe nudges Rika's shoulder and whispers, Want to go practice some more? I think we were close to a breakthrough in our last session. Rika smiles at her rival. Of course. You'll need all the practice you can get to surpass my awesome sword skills. The two laugh as they walk down the street, looking for a secluded place for light combat training. Maybe this swordsman will hate me less if I try to help. Nami offers, I can help you carry him, Mr. Mayor. Maybe while we go you can tell us more about what's been happening here in Orangetown. The mayor nods in agreement and the two pick up Zoro. Oh wait, I almost forgot about the keys. Nami turns back toward the others. Seeing that Rika and Kobe have wandered off, she calls out to Luffy, almost forgot. I snagged these keys from Buggy before the fight. You should use them to let yourself out of that cage. With an underhand toss, she sends the keys flying through the air toward Luffy before turning around to focus on helping the mayor carry Zoro to his home. Luffy jumps to his feet and attempts to grab the keys as they fly at him, but fumbles them between his hands. He tries desperately to catch hold of the rein. Just as he is about to close his fingers around it, he trips over a rock. The keys fly out of his hands and into the street between him and Chow Chow. Standing up and dusting himself off, Luffy calls out to the dog. Hey there, can you bring those keys over here? I need them for a second to get out of this cage. Chow Chow huffs and looks away from the pirate, still upset at how his barking had been misinterpreted earlier. The dog pretends to ignore the boy. He didn't trust any of them and thought the mayor was a fool for trying to save the swordsman. Luffy tries desperately to reason with the dog. Come on boy, I know you're shy but I just need your help for 1 second. You don't even need to carry me the keys. You could just push them closer with your nose. As sometimes happens in high-pressure situations, the boy had completely forgotten about his rubbery body, which would have made retrieving the keys on his own a trivial concern. Stupid pirate. Chow Chow walks towards Luffy and stops at the keys, pointing down Taos before pointing it back at Luffy as if to confirm that they were the keys he meant. Enjoy, Luffy shouts. Yes, that's it, just push them closer so I can get out of this cage. His happiness is immediately replaced with sorrow, which transitions directly into anger as Chow Chow picks the keys up with his mouth, tips his head back and swallows them whole. Feeling safe outside Luffy's reach, Chow Chow adds insult to injury by lifting his leg to pee toward the cage. He lets out a solitary bark, bark, eat my piss and die pirate s. Suddenly remembering his rubber abilities, Luffy sends both hands flying towards Chow Chow and wraps them around the dog's neck, throttling him. In a blind rage, he shouts, "You better cough up that key or else." He is interrupted by a crash. Looking down the street towards the sound, Luffy spots a man riding atop a gigantic lion, whose long tail had caused the window of one of the buildings to explode on impact. Releasing the dog, Luffy sits back and stares at the sight of the approaching creature. Turning to look at the Chow Chow, he asks, "What in the heck is that supposed to be, some kind of a mutant lion?" "Not these two." Chow Chow bares his teeth and growls at the approaching pirates. He had hidden from them in the past because they had left this place alone, but now that they were headed towards him he would need to fight. The shop was special to him. It had belonged to his former owner before he died, and Chow Chow had dedicated his life to defending it from harm. He answers Luffy's question with a bark. Bark. It's Moji the animal tamer and his lion Richie. Bark. They better stay away from this place if they know what's good for them. Continuing to pretend to understand the dog, Luffy nods in agreement. "You said it, pal, a couple of sideshow freaks." Rising to his feet, Luffy grabs the bars, attempting to shake them loose and free himself. He glares down at Chow Chow. "I can't believe you ate the keys. What am I supposed to do stuck in here?" The dog takes up his position in front of the shop, situated between it and the oncoming pirates, paws spread apart, ready for battle. Richie continues to lumber down the street until he arrives at the shop. Moji pats the massive lion's head before jumping to the ground. Eyeing the boy in the cage and the dog, he says, "What a strange situation we seem to have stumbled upon. Move out of the way, doggy. Richie is hungry and that store is the only place left with his favorite treats." Continuing to snarl, Chow Chow refuses to budge and he barks out a warning to the two. "Bark, get out of here now before I hurt you." In response, Richie lets loose his bellowing roar. "Roar, stay out of our way or I'll eat you too." Tensing up his body, Richie lunges at Chow Chow, easily crushing the dog and sending its body rolling out of the way. As Chow Chow attempts to pick his battered body off the ground, Luffy sees the inner strength and determination he wants for his crew reflected in the animal's perseverance and decides that the dog must join his crew as its mascot. Shouting up at the lion, Luffy tries to get its attention. "Hey you monster, leave that shop alone. If you want to fight then come get me." Chow Chow finally manages to lift himself onto all 4 feet. He wasn't certain, but the pirate in the cage seemed to be defending his master's shop. What the dog was certain of was that he was not strong enough to take on Richie without help. Chow Chow decided the best thing he could do was to fetch other pirates from Luffy's crew as backup. Picking up the scent of the younger 2 crew members, he takes off after them, relying on his nose as a guide. Turning its attention towards Luffy, the lion bares its teeth at the pirate captain wearing a straw hat. The beast lets out another roar. "Roar, fine, then I'll crush you too." Luffy sticks out his tongue at the lion and spits, attempting to rile the animal and keep it focused on him. The lion picks up his heavy paw and brings it smashing into the ground next to the cage, barely missing him. Luffy again taunts the beast. "Nah nah, you missed me, stupid monster." Enraged, Richie lifts his massive paw and slams it down, smashing through the cage bars. Luffy rolls out from under the attack and hops to his feet, finally free. Lifting both arms into the air in victory, he screams, "Finally! I was so sick of being cooped up inside of that thing." As Luffy celebrates his release, Chow Chow returns with Rika and Kobe to join Luffy. Calling out to his captain, Kobe says, "Hey Luffy, Chow Chow was desperate to get us back here. What can we do to help?" She, laughing, Luffy slaps his hands together. "You two deal with the fat guy. I'll handle this lion." "Did he just call me fat?" Moji pulls out his whip and cracks it over his head. He yells in protest, "Richie, kill that punk while I deal with these brats. Then we can get you your treats." Growling in approval, Richie charges towards Luffy. The massive lion leaps, trying to crush the man under his tremendous weight. Grabbing his right shoulder with his left hand, Luffy tosses his right hand backward. He stretches it as far as possible, leaving time to hit the lion before it lands. As Richie drops towards him, Luffy shouts, "Gum Gum Pistol!" He sends his fist flying into the lion's face, launching the creature backward and onto the ground, knocked out. Meanwhile, Kobe and Rika begin fighting against Moji, delivering blow after blow as the animal tamer desperately fends their attacks off with his whip. The two were more skilled than he expected, and he was quickly becoming overwhelmed. With a shout, Kobe yells out, "Trip smash!" The pink-haired boy swings his club low, knocking Moji's feet out from under him, while at the same time, Rika brings the hilt of her sword down onto the top of his head, smashing him to the ground. Dazed and defeated, Moji's eyes close as he is overcome with exhaustion and pain. The pair leap into the air in excitement over their victory before racing to join their captain on the other side of the street. Dropping her sword onto the ground and jumping into the captain's arms, Rika squeals, "Did you see that, Luffy? We beat him up and didn't even need your help." Fueled by her excitement, Luffy exclaims, "You sure did. The two of you are getting strong." The pair beam at Luffy and he smiles back before placing the young girl on the ground. Luffy shifts his attention to the small dog standing between them, wagging his tail excitedly. "And you were so clever bringing them here." He bends down to look into the dog's eyes. "I know this shop meant a lot to you. I'm glad we could help you keep it safe, but there's something I think you should know." He runs his hand through the dog's soft fur. "This shop wasn't your master's treasure." He lets the words hang in the air a beat before continuing, "You were his treasure." What does he mean, I was his treasure? The dog's eyes widen as he searches the pirates for any hint of deception. Seeing none, he lets out a low bark. "What do I bark? Do with that? Bark? What is my purpose?" A grin spreads across Luffy's face as he glances up at Rika and Kobe. "Don't you two think this little furball would make a great mascot?" Mascot? Does he mean what I think he means? The dog looks hopefully up at the pirate captain and lets out a hesitant bark. "Would you let me bark? Join you?" "Oh my gosh, yes." Rika lets out a high-pitched squeal. "Do you mean it, Captain? We can have a cute puppy on the ship?" Chow Chow reflects on the pirate's words as he is reminded of the moment he met his previous owner. Many years ago, as a nightmarishly bad storm rocked the island, a puppy wandered the streets, alone and destitute. The door to a small house is thrown wide as an older man with medium-length purple hair calls out, "What are you doing out there in the rain?" Dog to join him inside. "Come in. Come in. You'll catch your death out here." Hope glimmers in the dog's eyes as he tentatively places a paw within the threshold before pulling it back and looking up at the man. He lets out a cautious bark. "Are you sure?" "Oh, you poor thing." Dropping to his knees, the man places his hand on the dog's head and runs his finger through his wet fur. "The things we humans do. It's no wonder you don't trust me." Placing his hand under the dog's chin, he tips it up so that he can meet the dog's small eyes with his own. "My name is Hawker and I'm going to call you Chow Chow. I'll care for you if you'll have me." He smiles warmly at Chow Chow before a coughing fit suddenly seizes him and he stumbles backward into the house. Oh no! Leaping through the doorway, Chow Chow takes hold of the man's collar and painstakingly pulls him further into the house before using his nose to close the door. "I won't lose you. Not so soon." Placing his paws on the man's chest, who continues coughing, Chow Chow lets out a frightened yelp. "Bark. Live. Bark. You have to live." After a moment, the man recovers and, sitting up, wraps his arms around the soaking dog as tears run down his cheeks. "I suppose you'll be the one who will care for me." Squeezing the dog tightly, he whispers into the dog's ear, "I'm so glad the universe brought us together." Pulling back, he smiles as he wipes away his tears. "Tomorrow we're going to start work on this town's first pet food shop, and I think you would be the perfect mascot."